And we're live. It is Wednesday evening. I'm Rob in my basement, and I'm joined as usual by my partners in crime, Joe from On a Vinyl, and Daryl, whatever side of the screen you're on, Daryl from Northern Vinyl Guy, and our special guest this evening, everyone's favorite walking and talking person, Music Talk with John. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
Hey,
For
I
all
just
those
got,
watching, go ahead. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I just got a notification on my phone that Northern Revolutions has just started to talk about One Hit Wonders this evening.
Wow, look at that! Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
We should be watching that. Let me see.
How about that? I will preface tonight's festivities by just letting everybody know there's no talk of politics tonight. We're not talking politics, and there will be no politics discussion in the comments. Okay? You want that? Go somewhere else. Trevor, how you doing, man? Welcome, sir. Hope all is well. Joe, what's going on at On a Vinyl? I saw you did a kind of a live thing from the store there a little while ago.
Yeah, I've been kind of messing around a little bit. We did last Tuesday night. We had a different, I've said it before, we try and have a different off hours every month, at least one. And instead of a Saturday, we tried a Tuesday night. It was okay. It was somewhat busy. And then, so I went a little bit live to test it that night. Then on Thursday afternoon, I went a little more live because I knew that it was going to work, and tried a different camera and things like that, and it worked out okay. So I don't know if it's going to be a regular thing or not. I'm going to continue doing the videos. I don't know how much I'll do live, but maybe when we do another Saturday or when we do another Tuesday night or a something night or whatever, I'll probably do something then. Put a big sign out front. You're on YouTube, and there's possibly 10 to 20 people watching, so look out. Be careful if you're coming in the store. And yeah, went okay. I've got a new video up, 12 Things That Don't Belong in the Shop, Volume 5, that I just posted a couple of days ago, which for those that haven't seen is basically just me going through and kind of picking out 12 things that, well, how is this still here? This should be gone. Someone should have bought this. That's really the gist of it. And it's all based off my personal preference. People could watch and go, well, none of those albums are any good, which is all well and fair, and I understand that. But I picked 12. I have fun with it. Plus, I like doing the videos, and keeps me out of trouble. So, and it's been steady, not crazy, but steady. But Christmas is coming, Black Friday's coming, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all good in the hood.
Good. When I saw you were doing the live thing, I was out and about, and I think I was waiting in a parking lot for my wife to go into a store or something, and I saw it on my phone. I'm like, if I was home, I would
Yeah.
comment in the comments or whatever, but I was out and about. So next time you do one, I'll chirp in from the peanut gallery.
Yeah, I think I'll come up with something, a special, or maybe we'll do this
Sure.
from the shop, or I'll do this from my part from the shop one night, or we'll mess around a little bit.
Let me know if you want to do something. I could stream in, and we could figure something out. Why not?
Yeah, 100%, exactly. Just show off some stuff and just have the good old fun that we always have. How is Northern Vinyl Guy this evening? It snowed here today. Has it snowed there yet?
We did not get any snow today. We've had plenty of rain, though. It's hovering around 0 to 2 degrees, rain. According to the Weather Network, it's supposed to be nice for another couple of weeks, which is just, when I moved up here 20 years ago, the river would have been frozen by now. But everybody's still driving their boats across, all that good stuff. Halloween, my wife took the kids out for Halloween this year, and they got plenty of candy. They double dipped. They actually drove uptown, and then it's about a 2-kilometer drive to get from my house to the actual town. And they got plenty of candy, so but for me, I'd call it busy. This year at my job, I've taken on a department head role at my high school, and so this is my first experience, because it's midterms up here, and it's my first experience of having to go around to all the department teachers and read all their comments and proofread them, and be the bad bearer that their comments may or may not be that good.
Oh boy, that sucks, man.
That's a fun job.
You got to proofread
And as-
the work
as-
that a teacher does. That sucks.
As a former coworker of mine once used to say, he said, being a department head is about 2 cases of beer a month.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
That's the pay raise. But it's all good. It's fun. One of our senior members guided me on what I should be looking for and all that. So, tons of fun eating candy and marking report cards because my kids, of course, they realize that we steal all their candy.
I think I've eaten. I shouldn't say this too loud because my son's just in the next room, but I think I've eaten more of his candy than he has.
It usually happens. Yeah.
Yeah, but
He eats it for
You
like a
said you
day
guys-
and then he forgets it's there.
you guys walked what, 17 miles? Did you say, or kilometers, or you
I
went
was
insane?
being facetious, but yeah, we walked.
But
quite
it
a
felt
way.
like it. I bet. Yeah.
Well, and I was fully dressed up too, and my costume is pretty heavy, so it was a good workout by the time I was done.
Yeah, you made
You
a
guys
good
were-
Ghostbuster.
So, let me get caught up on a few comments here. Glenn wants to know if we could talk about Bob Dylan. No, we're not talking about politics, and we're not talking about Bob Dylan. But I'd rather talk about Bob Dylan than politics. So there you go.
Let's talk about Bob Dylan's politics.
Richard, Trevor wants to know, Joe, is your live stream from the shop, is that still saved on the On a Vinyl channel? Can someone go back and watch it?
It is, yeah, but it was like, it was nothing special, Trev, but yeah, it's up there. It should be on the On a Vinyl YouTube channel. I think I did it on there. I might have done some of it because I haven't got the full-blown StreamYard, so I can't put it to both places, YouTube and Facebook. And I think I did one on Facebook, one on YouTube, but the videos are on both of them. So there you go. Did that answer the question? I don't know.
I
if that
think
answered
so.
the question.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Got it.
Fair enough.
Hey, Sam, hope you're doing okay, man.
Hey, Sam.
Thinking about you. As I've been thinking about John today.
Yeah.
Yeah, as John says, let's talk about Dylan and cheese graters. That's not. Richard says in Denver they had 6 inches of snow since midnight. Well, Richard, as I was telling the guys before we went on, I'm further north than you, and I'm happily wearing shorts. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was like 18 today there, wasn't it? Or something ridiculous.
20, it was 20 degrees today, which is like 70 degrees Fahrenheit-ish. So I'll take it. It's supposed to be warm-ish through the weekend, so I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Sam goes, my head hurts. And Alex is about 4 department heads. Oh, in reference to how many cases of beer. Yeah, no doubt.
Well, I don't know if you guys, Alex and Sam, I don't know if you drink porter, but I'm drinking something called Highlander Brewed in the North Smoked Roasted Coffee and Chocolate Porter, but it tastes like Guinness.
Jesus. That's a
Wow.
lot of work.
Jesus.
That's a lot of something there.
That's like a meal. He's drinking
Yeah.
a meal, for God's sake.
Do you use a straw or some kind of spoon to do that? I mean, that's like
Pretty
a
much.
knife.
Trevor says his daughter doesn't like chocolate, so score for you. Yeah, no doubt. Sam's 3 beers in. Yeah, you need to be. Porter, hardly knew her. Sam says he wants that. And apparently Richard's butthole is freezing. Well, put some pants on, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's simple, Richard. Just pants, man.
Is that possible? Can you even freeze that off? Can you?
I don't know if
Okay.
you can freeze your butthole off. There's other parts you can freeze off, but you'd have to be working at freezing your butthole off, wouldn't you?
We need to work on these terms. They're not working for me.
Yeah, that's right.
This is a comment that only 3 of us are going to understand, but Glenn wishes they'd bring Tim's Beebs back at Tim Hortons. No, we don't need that.
No.
Nope,
No.
we do not. Daryl, I would take that beer out back and do dirty things with it.
Oh, God.
I'm going to give you the star, Alex.
So we know
That's the
Alex's feeling.
fucking comment of
Yeah.
the night.
I'm feeling some John Candy stripes action, rolling around with the girls and beer.
Jesus. Wow.
How much do we miss John Candy? Good Lord. I watched, what did I watch? I watched Splash, actually. And he was, I mean, he's good in everything, but he was great in that. And he was kind of an ass in that, too. And he was still great at being that. So,
Kind of the bad guy, yeah.
yeah, kind of, right? Yeah, that was a shame losing John for sure.
Yeah, him in vacation though, with the playing the security guard, and
Oh, just all of it. Yeah, I know exactly. And
Shot
Wally
the
World.
The great outdoors is always the hilarious one for
Hmm.
me.
yeah,
Those aren't pillows. Anyway,
that's classic.
What's going on with John? We'll go from the north to the south. What's going on with John these days?
yeah.
What's going on with you, John? What's happening?
I mean,
Did you get your room back together?
yeah, it's back. It's kind of almost like how it was before. And tonight, pulling albums, I realized some things are out of order, so I had to remove things. But yeah, it's back. It's functional. It feels like my room again. And I have a whole stack of records, probably 35 to 40 records that are going to go bye-bye.
Wow.
So, but yeah,
It's
mostly dodging hurricanes. There's another hurricane down there, but I guess it's going to go towards Texas. So it's going to avoid us this time. So it's been a fun month. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Thank
kidding.
goodness. The last thing you need is another hurricane.
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding.
So, as for me, nothing. Same old shit, different day. I'm wearing shorts. It was Halloween. It was awesome. The weather was warm.
Yeah. I'm getting used to this time change thing, though. It's like
I
6
just-
o'clock.
I got to relate this, Joe. I think I'm a reasonably intelligent person. I also think I know a hell of a lot about the country in which we reside. I just learned from Joe yesterday that in Saskatchewan, they don't do daylight savings time. I had no fucking idea. 46
Nope.
years old, I had no idea.
Which could be which could be a statement on us that we're not capable of changing clocks twice a year. But yeah, I don't remember. I don't know if it's always been a thing. It's always been a thing that I can remember, but we stay the same. We so that's why I asked you, because normally my come on time was 6 o'clock when it was 8 o'clock at your place. And I wasn't sure if somehow you changed, or for some reason you changed with the daylight savings, or we just kept it 8 your time, which now is 7 my time. So yeah, we've just always accomplished not going anywhere, but always going, what time is it in Toronto? What time is it in Vancouver now? Because everything, a week ago, Alberta was the same time as us, and Manitoba was an hour ahead. Now it's vice versa. So, when I go to Manitoba next week, I don't gain the hour. Yeah, it's good because we don't have to change shit, but you do have to kind of remember when you're dealing with people out of province and things like that, that you have to remember what time it is there, not so much what time it is here. So.
I guess it says to me I've never asked what time is it in Saskatchewan, because frankly nobody gives a fuck.
Well,
It's
yeah,
Saskatchewan.
that too, right? So sure. Were you somewhat slightly satisfied with the Dodgers beating the Yankees? Because I was.
Yes. So
Lesser of two evils.
well, yeah. I mean, I don't care about the Dodgers, and I couldn't give two shits about the Yankees. But I'm thankful only because Kevin Kiermaier is going to finish his career.
Yeah.
He's retiring now. And I love the couple years that he played in Toronto. And he deserved a World Series ring. So I'm glad he got one. I'm glad for Teoscar Hernandez, who has had the year of his career playing with the Dodgers this year. He deserved it. So for those guys, we miss them dearly in Toronto. Our dumpster fire is only going to get worse by the sounds of it. It's not going to get any better. So I'm glad those guys went off and been successful, especially for Kiermaier. Good way to end his career. So
Yeah. And if nothing else, for the dipshit that tried to pull the ball out of the Dodgers' glove. Like, come
Yes.
on, you knob. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's it for baseball talk. Baseball.
and this is a good
November
comment.
talk.
Kevin Biggio will get a ring too, because he played with them for a couple months or whatever. So not sure that he necessarily deserves one. He's kind of been lackluster, but yeah, I'm glad for those former Jays, especially Kiermaier. So
There you go. That's our baseball talk in November. Done.
yeah, well, give it a few more weeks, and Ross Atkins starts making stupid moves, then I'll have stuff to bitch about. So
Fair enough. Yeah, that's.
I mean,
true.
I read
Yeah.
in the paper today, not in the paper, I sound like an old person. I read online a newspaper article stating that the contract extension negotiations with Guerrero is not going well.
Good.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Anyway, just I thought I'd throw that out there and see what you thought.
Yeah, well, it's fair. It's we got to talk about baseball because certainly have nothing good to talk about with hockey right now either. So, yeah, I mean, hell of a Formula One race on the weekend, Joe. Did you see it?
It was, yeah. Well, I don't know if you'd call it a hell of a race, but it was interesting. That's for
It was
sure.
interesting.
So, yeah, that's
my
crazy.
former favorite team that I was an Alpine Renault Benetton guy since 1985, and I finally dropped them last year because I'm like, I can't do it anymore, and they go and pull off a double podium. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, thanks. But courtesy of your current somewhat favorite team, right? Because
Of course.
a lot of that. Well, I mean, they were doing okay, but I think it helped a little bit that Lance decided he'd go play in the kitty litter for a while at the start of the race.
Yep.
What are you doing, man? Come on.
He's an idiot. He's
Whatever.
an idiot.
He
It is what
but-
it is.
Oh well. Yeah.
I guess
for sure.
we should take a moment to reflect on this. Quincy Jones passing
Yeah.
the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty significant loss in the music world. Thoughts?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
term, the term genius, the term legend, right? I think that applies to a guy like
Yeah,
Quincy Jones,
I
right?
would
I mean,
say.
that gets thrown around a lot, and there's certain guys that gets attached to, but man, there's a lot of things. I don't know if he touched anything that didn't work out well. I mean, obviously all the stuff with Michael, and Michael aside with that, he took him and he made him what he was, or was a big part of what he was. But just the other artists that he was involved with, and all of the behind the scenes stuff too. Like I think there's been a couple of good documentaries, but you think now that someone will probably do maybe a little bit more in depth one. But man, that guy touched a lot of things, music wise, race wise, culture wise, a lot of things, I think, right? So definitely a loss for the planet, let alone the music industry. I think anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think it's incredible that a guy, one guy like him, talking about a few weeks ago, we had talked about USA for Africa and stuff like that, that he was able to control that many. I mean, you think about it, musicians are alpha type personalities in a lot of cases, and he was able to contain them, and they didn't kill each other,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
What was it? It was one take, 2 takes they did for that.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was something, and he arranged it. Like you can see in the video, it's always him, him conducting and things like that. And he was a very talented man. By all accounts, a decent dude, I think, as well. Hopefully, by all accounts that I've ever heard of, anyway. So
Yeah, you never heard
a
any
lot.
controversy or anything on him. And he came up through the ranks really with Ray Charles.
Yeah,
Ray
exactly.
Charles was still playing dive bars. Quincy, he was making deals, doing his thing back in that time. So you forget about those days too. So yeah, definitely somebody to admire. Yeah.
Agreed.
Big loss for sure.
Yep.
All right. Our topic du jour came from Daryl. One-hit wonders. And then I sort of added on, let's also talk about albums that we bought for a single song, because it's kind of related. Often you buy a one-hit wonder album, or sometimes you buy an album only for a particular song, whether it was a hit or not. I have more of those albums that I bought for a single song than I do one-hit wonders, but
Yeah.
I think they sort of mate well together. So we've all pulled some, and we'll share them tonight. So, as we always do, John, you're our guest of honor. You want to take the lead?
Okay. So yeah, I'm
Well,
glad
there's
you
no
did that.
Billy Joel tonight, right? Because
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Left them out. Come on. So no Taylor for you and no Blue Rodeo for you. You're done.
correct.
Yeah, I'm glad you added the albums that I bought because of a song, because I had a hard time with the one-hit wonders. I don't really they kind of go together, but there's definitely more albums that I bought because of one song. So I was able to pick from some things, but this is one I recently picked up. It's kind of on the radar. It just showed up because they had a live.
Man, I've been looking for that.
Yeah, there's actually a what's that brand? Music on Vinyl.
Yeah.
They have the series. They have the first 2 at least albums by
Oh,
the
okay, cool.
Music on Vinyl. They had it at a local store, which I was tempted to buy, but I got this one, which is, I'm pretty sure, pretty close to an original.
Yeah.
Picked it up for a good price. It's clean. And I wasn't sure if I was even going to like the album, but I love the song Highwaymen. And it's pretty cool how these guys even got together for this. You figure these 4 country stars, they'd get together somewhere in like Texas or Tennessee or something, but it was actually Johnny Cash was doing a Christmas show over in Switzerland, and he says, why don't you guys come on over and be part of the Christmas show? And they came over, and in all their downtime between rehearsing for the show or whatever, they started writing. So before they knew it, they had some material, and well, they were playing together. I guess I shouldn't say that, because they're really jamming together, because really only 2 of the songs on here are written by one of these guys. The rest are old school country writers, which is kind of misleading, because if you read you can't really see it here, but if you look at the song list on the back, it says like Cash and Christopherson or whoever. It's not who wrote the songs, though. It's actually who's just singing on the tracks.
Right.
So it's a little misleading how they did that. But I'm glad I picked this up, because I'm like, I don't know what the rest of the album's like, and it's freaking great, like all the way through. Another like Desperados, Waiting for a Train. There's a song called Welfare Line. They actually do Against the Wind. The Bob Seger song is on here, which I was like, okay, but it actually turned out good. They did a good job with it. So yeah, the song for me was Highwaymen, but yeah, the whole album's great. If you ever, there it is.
I've been looking for those forever, man.
Yeah. It was just weird that I find this, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later I find they reissued on Music on Vinyl, of course. And I'm like, I'm not going to put out another $35 for it. So
I'm gonna go off on. I'm not gonna. This isn't my term, but this is just a tangent to what you're talking about. So a few years ago, there was a group called the Highwaymen.
Yep.
I'm gonna make myself think again here, and they recorded a song called Highwaymen. So Highwaymen, the song off that album, was written by Jimmy Webb. So Jimmy Webb took his own song and rewrote a female version of it, and they recorded it. And I'm not a country fan, but it's pretty good too.
Yeah, how's the rest of the album? I know I like that song.
I love it.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of good talent on there.
It's I mean, Brandy Carlisle alone makes it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
I like how you said, and then the rest of it was written by the standard old country artists or whatever, country writers, and those 4 guys are some of those, but they chose to do other people's stuff. So that was cool. That was good.
Yeah, they used a lot of writers on there. I forgot all the names, but yeah, there's a lot of people on there.
Yeah.
That's a good one, John.
From real country, when country was country.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any of those guys play live, John?
No, I never have. I miss Willie. Willie was just here a year ago.
Christopherson, and he was great.
Yeah.
I saw Willie, 80, mid-80s or whatever. So, and it was good. It was more of a jam. Willie was facing the band versus the front a lot more than maybe some people wanted. It was Willie was there, but I'm not sure how much he was there. But you still got. I guess that's what you want out of Willie, right?
How much was he there? Yeah, was Willie there?
yeah, exactly. So
was he floating off the ground a little bit?
And then Johnny, I didn't see him, but my mom and her husband saw him. Just a small little northern Saskatchewan town. That's where he liked to go fishing from time to time. So one year, I'll set up a stage and I'll play. And they happened to be there at that point. And so they got this impromptu Johnny Cash L'Orange. Lac L'Orange is the place that was. I don't even remember how long ago, quite a while ago now, but yeah. So
that's not the place where he had a cabin, is he? He had a cabin somewhere.
I don't think it is. It might have been, but I don't think that's where he had a cabin. So yeah.
I heard he likes Saskatchewan because I don't have daylight savings time.
Now I have to look.
That's right. Didn't have to change his watch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to go next, Daryl? As he's taking a mouthful of chocolate beer or whatever it is.
I'm good to go. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a weird smoked porter beer. That was good though. All right, so So I didn't go true. Like I have a ton of one-hit wonders, but when you had brought up the idea of a single song thing too, I thought that was a pretty cool thing. So I'm actually going to mix and match. I got some one-hit wonders, and then I got some where I bought it for a single song, and I've also got definitely I'm going to be showing off some of my my Canadian content here. So it will be part CanCon.
Perfect.
So this first album, it's a band from Toronto. I'm not even sure if they still exist anymore. I had blind bought this because I had heard of this one song. Their style, I've been reading about it. They're kind of punk / pop / new wave. I don't know what you would call them. All I can say is it's one of the weirdest bands I've ever heard. One of the weirdest bands I ever heard. And it's a band called the Deserters from Toronto.
Never heard of them.
And there's a song on this album called Alien or Aliens. And I'm telling you right now, it is just listen to it one time. It is so flippin' weird. But for whatever reason, I enjoy the song. It's a weird album. But just give it one listen. The only thing the only thing I know about them is they're out of the Toronto area, and it was kind of like I said, it was one of these blind buys. I think it's 1979, Ryan. I think that's the year. Maybe 1980. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, no, check it out and give it a spin. Definitely, they definitely didn't make a presence in the United States. I don't even know if they had any songs down there, but I think that Alien song was their go-to in Canada. So
yeah, I'm just reading it is. Yeah, that was it.
Really weird. I think it's 1979.
Yeah.
They had a couple albums. I don't know if I've got that one. I'm just trying to look, but it doesn't matter. There's another one. There's a Black album with them on the cover. I've got that. I don't know if I've got that one. And I don't remember the last time I listened to them. So none of this is really relevant to what you just said, but I just know that they had at least a couple of albums because I think I have the other one or I have both of them. So, and maybe they had more. I don't know, but.
And like I said, I mean, it's not going to appeal to everybody, but the first time I heard it, I was like, what the heck is this? This is so flippin' weird. And it just kind of was a catchy, like I listened to it multiple times since I bought it. It's an acquired thing. I mean, it's not something I'm going to listen to every single day, but give it a go and let me know what you think.
So here's a piece of trivia. Kenny McLean, who was the guitar player, when he left this band, or deserted them, I guess you could say, he became the guitar player for Platinum Blonde.
Okay, yeah.
A band all of us Canadians have at least heard of, anyway.
It doesn't really matter, though, does it?
Not really. Not really.
I like Platinum Blonde. They're still playing. They opened for Billy Idol. Yeah, they opened for Billy Idol a little while ago. I didn't see that, but I saw them a couple years ago here. You know, the summertime tour type of thing, and they sounded fine. They sounded good. So yeah, and they were fun. They were good. So I did not mind them at the time. And now,
cool. Now it's your turn, Joe.
It is. So I've got a bit of an eclectic mix as well. There's some true one-hit wonders. There's a couple in here where the artist had one hit, but had a whole bunch of good stuff as well. They only just ever broke one on the radio. And then there's a band in there that only did one album, so that's why they only had one. And there's a couple that are arguably two-hit wonders, but not that you needed to know all of that. I could have just went along and showed you stuff, and away we go. But I'm going to start off with an artist that had one hit, but has put out a great amount of music and some really, really fantastic music, and that's Warren Zevon. So, of course, Werewolves of London, sorry, John, was the hit. You know, I mean, there's some other arguable hits, or at least songs that got a little bit of airplay. But as far as a true hit, a charted song anyway, Werewolves of London is it. There you go. But an artist that has a great discography and wrote a lot of really, really good music. And I don't know if it's true or not, and I don't know if I heard it or I just made it up in my mind, but I think he probably that was Warren Zevon's least favorite Warren Zevon song was Werewolves of London. He just was not a big fan of it. And whether that's because it blew up or because it blew up and maybe he didn't want it to, or maybe it was, an off the cuff, he had to write one more for the album. I don't know for sure. But whenever he was on Letterman, he did, nope, not playing that, not going to play that, never did. But so again, there's an artist that had one hit, but just a ton of really, really great music, and unfortunately lost him, not young, but unfortunately we've lost him because he was still making great music right till the end. So
Good. Alex, I'm glad you're still watching because this one that I'm going to show is for you, my friend.
Yeah, so I always knew Werewolves, but the one that drew me to that album was Rollin' the Headless Thompson Gunner.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Lawyers, Guns, and Money. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic album. There was arguably a few hits, but nothing like Werewolves. But yeah.
Yeah,
so.
But the whole album's solid. Yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah. What do you got, Rob?
Okay, so normally I would be embarrassed to show this album. But Alex will know why I'm not embarrassed to show this album. This is an album I bought for one song. Kid Rock's Cocky. It's for you, Alex. I'm glad you're watching, man.
Lord.
Obviously, I'm a big Sheryl Crow fan. So this has Picture, which is the hit she did with Kid Rock. Not a Kid Rock fan. I think he's a colossal douchebag. But it was, it was at my local back in the day, and it was on clearance or whatever. So I'm like, look, shit, I like Sheryl Crow. Maybe there's another song in here that is of that sort of whatever. I feel dirty just holding the record, but
It's gross.
I bought it for one song because I'm a Sheryl Crow fan.
I bought that CD for the one song also, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gone.
The reason I laugh is like a year ago, Alex from Beer and Vinyl, when Alex did his first contest, I think it was about prog. No, it wasn't contest. It was a tag. It was a vinyl tag, the prog rock vinyl tag. I did my entry. I have no prog, maybe one or two, but I did I answered every single question with that album, and it was that video was such a hoot to make. So, yeah. So. Bought it for that one song. There you go. So, who wants to go next? John disappeared.
Yeah, I'm right here. I had to get up. I'm in my underwear. No, I'm kidding.
Good Lord. I'm going to let you go here, John. I'm going to go give my kid shit because he's fighting with my wife before he goes to bed.
Boy.
So give me 1 sec.
Okay.
I'm big. He made me big. I'm a giant now.
You are.
Oh, let's talk about. I'm going to show a CD. I'm sorry. I'm going to show a CD. And the only reason I'm going to show a CD is because I can't find this freaking album anywhere. But it's Los Lobos, who for years I called Los Lobos, but it's Los Lobos. But this is a really good album. I don't know how familiar. I'm sure you guys know who Los Lobos is.
Yeah.
But this album in particular is the one that kind of put them on my radar. I knew the stuff they did on the La Bamba soundtrack or whatever, but my friend, turned me on to this album, and the one song that really caught me is called Tony and Maria, and I don't know if you guys have heard this album or not, but it's a cool song. It's about this couple. Well, first he comes from Mexico to California to work for his family and sends money home. And then later his wife comes and he talks about how lonely he is. And then his wife comes and he feels a little better, but they miss their children, so they talk about that. And I think finally they all come or whatever. But it's just a really cool, not relatable. I can't relate to it, but it feels like a song I can kind of get into the story of it, of somebody coming for a better thing and having to leave their family behind. So, but it's a mix of, I think most of their albums are a mix of English songs and Spanish songs. And even the songs sung in Spanish, they have such a feel to them and the music is there. I don't even know what they're saying, but it's like I'm in it, you know. And even the song for the title track, "Good Morning Aslan," is a really good song. But the one that turned me on to this was Tony and Maria. So if you guys ever have a chance, give this one a shot. Do you guys find any much Los Lobos there? See right there, Los Lobos out there?
No, I haven't seen much. I've got the one. I've got the, you know, with La Bamba on it or whatever.
The soundtrack, yeah.
Yeah, and Will the Wolf Survive, as Richard mentions.
Yes.
I've got that too. But here's my quick story. And I saw them and John Hyatt together, and they were doing. Later, I found it was a co-headlining tour. So we went in thinking John Hyatt was going to be the headliner, and he opened that night.
Oh.
So for some reason, I got it in my head that they took away from his set, that I wasn't going to get to hear as much John Hyatt as I would have liked to have had because he opened. And I don't think that was the case. I think the set would have been the same whether it was this way or that way. So I was pissed off at them, and I didn't enjoy it. But there was nothing probably wrong with it, and I wish that wasn't the case because I was looking forward to seeing them. You know, Spanish understanding or not, it didn't matter.
No,
it was the circumstances that, like I said, and in my mind, and I'm sure it wouldn't have been any different, that because John went first, I didn't get all of John that I would have got if they would have gone first, and I was pissed off and I didn't enjoy them. Yeah. So I'd like to eventually see them again, not have that scenario, and maybe be able to enjoy them more. So, because I don't like their music, it was just that night, the way that it played out.
Yeah, it wasn't right. Yeah, it's hard to find their stuff. I have How Will the Wolf Survive. That seems a more accessible album. That one seems like you see it more often. And I found there was one, I think it was more of an EP. It was in between an EP and LP. It was By the Light of the Moon. And I think they even had one of the songs from La Bamba on there, but they redid it, not in Richie Valens style. They kind of redid it. But that Kiko one that came out about 2 years ago or so at Record Store Day with the extended material. That's a really good one. So, so you missed it, Rob.
Sorry, what did you show, John? I missed it.
I did that one. Los Lobos.
Okay.
Good Morning Aslan. So, yeah. Cool. Definitely check it out if you haven't. It's not easy to find. I had to get this off of eBay. I've just never been able to get a hold of this.
Cool. Let's just see here. Trevor's got to go to bed. So good night, Trevor. Thanks for joining us, man. His favorite one-hit wonder, Faith No More, and their one-hit epic.
Oh, yeah.
Good night, sir.
That song, that was so different when that song came out, and I didn't know what to think of it. It was like this rapping with heavy metal guitar, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? But it was cool.
A strange one.
Yeah, but it was nothing like it. It was awesome.
Yeah. It was kind of the impetus of that genre, because there's more than them now, and that was the only one that ever worked for them. But you're right. That was kind of, I mean, there might have been a little bit, but that's kind of where it started. And that's a pretty good album too. You know, there's one-hit wonders that are really the song and the rest is crap, but that's not a bad album. That whole epic, or that whole Faith No More album, is pretty good. So
yeah.
Good. All right, Daryl, you're up.
All right, so the next album, these guys are not one-hit wonders by any means, and in fact, my favorite song by this band is on a totally different album that I don't own. But I bought, I got this for a decent price. I think it was like $5. And I bought ABC's Lexicon of Love. And of course, I mean, Poison Arrow, I'm not a huge fan of that song that's on here, but I do like the Look of Love is the song that I like off this one. So I bought this actually for like $5 or something like that, just for that particular song, knowing that I'm not saying I can't stand Poison Arrow. It's just not my thing. But if I could buy an album, I gotta find their song When Smokey Sings. It's probably my favorite song by them.
Yeah,
it's not a song that usually comes up in the VC very often, but it's a pretty good album. The only thing is I wish I could I'm gonna have to get a new copy one of these days, because the cardboard sleeve on mine kind of has a little bit of the wavy water damage on the bottom. But the vinyl plays perfectly on it. So Yeah, no, it's a really good album. I'm a huge ABC fan. They're not that typical early '80s new wavy stuff. Like it's a different sound, I guess. It's just how I look at them, and
Kind of
pretty cool stuff there. So.
soulful kind of 80s sound. Yeah, it wasn't keyboardish. It wasn't like a
It's definitely a different spin on what would have been going on at that time, anyway. But yeah, if you haven't heard the Lexicon of Love album, definitely check it out. It's pretty good from start to finish.
Yeah, and I've never seen it out there. I've never seen that album before.
Alex loves it. Says Trevor Rabin's production is insane. One of the best sounding albums of all time. So.
I'll have to check it out.
Or Trevor Horn. Joe looks like he's digging for one back there. So.
Well, I think when Smokey sings is on How to Be a Zillionaire, which I think I have, and the A's are behind me, but I'm not gonna give you guys Full Moon tonight, so I'll shut down after. I'll shut down after.
Turn your camera off, for God's sake.
Save that for your OnlyFans, Joe.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I actually have to pay people to watch my OnlyFans, but that's okay.
How much you paying?
A whole different thing.
We can all use extra income. How much you paying?
The only guy that went in debt doing OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's right. It's like Sheldon. Here's your $20 and your cat.
Yeah,
it's back somewhere. I don't give a shit. Anyway, my turn.
Yes, your turn. What you got?
Lost about 3 pounds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's your turn.
Yeah, exactly. So not one hit wonder. There was a couple off here, but on Classic Rock Radio, they only play the one hit, and they did have a couple of albums, but it is the Fabulous Thunderbirds and Tough Enough. So Tough Enough being the one hit. Like I said, there was probably a couple of songs on here that they played. Where the hell are the songs? So Tough Enough and Wrap It Up, I suppose, was as well. So this is going to fall into my kind of 2-hit, 1-hit album genre. So should have been around, and maybe it was just their own decision. I'm not sure, because Jimmy Ray Vaughan, Stevie Ray Vaughan's little brother, older brother, can't remember. I don't know if he's younger or older, but anyway, younger. Yeah, and
I might have that.
And just good stuff, like good party rock and roll. I mean, I think everybody's somewhat familiar, but there's the boys on the back. You've got the stand-up bass going on, and just that kind of bluesy a little bit. I don't know if you'd necessarily call it bluesy, but
I didn't know where to put them. Yeah, they kind of had an 80s sound, but they had a blues guitar sound to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just couldn't quite take it, so like to the next level.
And then again, I think maybe a couple of albums, but they've never really had any other hits other than those two. I think somewhat comparable to my Canadian brethren would maybe argue or disagree. Similar to Doug and the Slugs, that type of a feel, maybe, right? Mm-hmm. That genre, whatever that genre, but basically good music. And I listened to it yesterday, and it's a great album. So I don't know if it was a choice of the band, or who knows the circumstances of where they went afterwards. But again, if there's more than 2 Fabulous Thunderbirds albums, not saying there isn't, because I don't know for sure, I'd be surprised, but just never really, for the talent that was in the band and the genre and the style of the band, I thought that they probably should have been a little bigger. You could almost arguably compare them a little bit to Huey Lewis and the News a little bit. I don't know, maybe a little bit. Yeah, a little bit, but so
the horns,
that's my 1-ish, 2-ish album hit-ish cover. What I'm going with for this round, anyway.
Yeah,
good one.
Right on.
Good one. All right, I'm going to go 1-hit wonder this time, and I'm going to go with probably the biggest 1-hit wonder of the 90s.
Yeah,
Natalie Imbruglia, Torn. I didn't buy this until just recently. I mean, everyone knows that song Torn from 1990. I don't know, whenever the hell it came out. Great song, I think, top 40 radio, MTV, everyone knows it. But I happened to be on YouTube, and I saw a video of her performing it now, 30 years later. And by the way, nowadays, she is an absolute smoke show.
Yeah.
Holy balls.
Yeah.
So I was immediately intrigued. And I didn't realize she had a couple other minor hits after that. She had another one off of an album after this called Wrong Impression, which I really like that song. So I bought this record. I remember seeing this. I mean, we all saw this in every record store you went into back in the 90s because Torn was such a massive hit. So that I like Torn and I like Wrong Impression. And she's a smoke show. So I'll pick this up and see what I think of it. And it's okay.
I think it's pretty solid. I mean, she's a good art. She was like a model before, so I'm like,
she was an actress. She was on a British soap opera.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I thought it was a pretty solid album. Her other ones, and she dealt with some depression and things. So some of her albums, forgot which one it was, but it got pretty dark, and she was talking about some interesting things. So, she's a talent. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like a '90s album, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not timeless by any means. It sounds like a '90s pop record, but it's okay. I enjoy it. And,
it's actually funny. It's one of the few songs. Like, I do know of other songs that this has happened, but I can actually tell you exactly where I was the first time I ever heard that song. It's funny. I was in OAC or grade 13 in Ontario, and going out for a soccer tournament. And I was getting on the bus, and all the girls were playing this song when we were getting on the bus going to this soccer tournament. It's kind of funny that it's one of the few songs I remember exactly the moment I heard that. And no, it's a great song. I haven't heard the whole album though. That's the only song I know from there.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's solid, but it sounds like '90s pop. I mean, it's nothing sophisticated about it by any means, but it's an enjoyable listen. It's not something that I listen to a lot, but it gets played periodically. So
it's one of those albums you don't think about, but you're kind of rummaging through, and you go, let me pull that.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah, for sure. Alex is saying I need to calm down, or my guitars are going to be white. Well, that one on back there already is. So
they're gonna be white.
I don't know what he's referring to.
Okay, I'm glad you don't.
No idea. I'm innocent. Let's go around again. John.
Okay. So this one's a soundtrack. Forgot what this was on. Maybe Amazon, this show. It's called The Man in the High Castle. So I don't know if you heard of it, but it was, speaking of history, it was based off of if Germany had won World War II and took over a massive part of the United States. But some of the United States still remained kind of in the center there. But so it's set at that time, so early, late 40s or whatever. So they came up with a soundtrack. It might have taken place maybe a little bit after, because everything on this, it's this album right here. Everything on here, they made it sound like retro 60s music, but with current artists on here. And this, the one song, because when I was watching the show, I'm like, wow, this is really kind of cool what they're doing with the music. But the one song that really brought me to it was the song "The End of the World." I don't know if that was what are these freaking things popping up.
I don't know, something you got enabled on your end, I think.
I don't know what's happening there. Was that a Skeeter Davis song, "The End of the World"?
Yeah.
Was that her? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good song, yeah.
Yeah, so they have, I've never heard of her, Sharon Von Etten. She does it, but they make it sound retro with a lot of reverb and just this airy kind of sound. And every one of these songs, they made them kind of gloomy, because the show's not a fun show. You got people escaping Nazis and all that stuff. But it has a ton of people on here. Like Beck does "Can't Help Falling in Love," so he does the Elvis song, real mellow, it's a really good Beck song. What was the other one? I think Nora Jones is on here doing "Unchained Melody." It's a double album, but it's really good if you're in the mood for something kind of gloomy but cool and good sounding. It's a good sounding album. I'd recommend that one.
Cool.
So, kind of
awesome.
Cool. Yep.
I saw that show advertised. Being a history guy, kind of piqued my interest, but then I never did get to watch it. So you recommended it.
It was one that started kind of good, and then it was time to end it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I can't picture Beck singing an Elvis song.
Oh, it's so good too.
Yeah.
Because he did a couple of the who did he cover when he did that soundtrack, the Echo in the Canyon? He covered like I don't remember if it was the Byrds or the Beach Boys or something. I forgot who he covered. And if you've never heard Echo in the Canyon, you got to check that out too. That's all those people who were in California at the time, and you've got Beck and Jacob Dylan and all these artists covering those songs on there. So that's really good too.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good. Daryl, you're up.
Right. So we're going to go back to the mid 70s. I've mentioned in the past that I am a Paul Carrack fan, whether it's with Mike and the Mechanics or whether he's doing a solo career. But prior to the whole Mike and the Mechanics thing, he was part of a one-hit wonder band called Ace. And they did a song called How Long. And it's off of this
Wow. Yeah,
Ace
right.
album. And it's a really good track. It's kind of, I just call it soft rock, I guess you would call it. How Long is probably 70s makeout music, you would probably put that as.
Yacht Rock.
But yeah, I mean, I couldn't do this list without talking about Paul Carrack. I could have brought his other solo album down, but I didn't buy that for just one song. I bought it for the whole album. It's a great album. So yeah, I couldn't get on this list without talking about him at least once. So yeah, if you haven't checked out Ace, if you haven't heard that song, I remember when I was a kid growing up, my dad had this series of CDs. I think it was called Have a Nice Day. There was like 20 CDs in this collection, and they were all one-hit wonders. And that, I think, was one of the songs that was on it, if I remember right. And my dad used to play that stuff all the time. So yeah, no, I think it's a cool thing. And like I said, as I'm a soccer fan, I used to play soccer in high school and stuff. It's a pretty cool album, kind of represents me as well. So yeah, no, I thought I'd throw that out. I don't think I've ever seen that one shown in the VC. And yeah, if you haven't listened to Ace, check it out.
Yeah, you definitely don't see it around.
No, that's good. That definitely falls into, yeah, I'm looking for it too, because it's in the A's as well, and it should be right around there. But anyway, I've got that. It certainly falls into the 70s gold, right? Like there's a couple of stations on TuneIn that it's just filled with that kind of stuff, which is partially yacht rock, right? Thunder Island, and I won't get into a bunch in case they come up here, but yeah, it's a great song. And Paul Carrack's good. He's been around a lot. Also in Squeeze, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Bargy, another Nail in My Heart, and that's a fantastic album. That, I don't know if that's a one-hit wonder, but Tempted, right? That was that, and that's him being Tempted, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. There might have been a couple of vocals in Squeeze, but yeah. So yeah, good choice. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, I haven't heard that song in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Me, I guess. I'm gonna go to the land down under for this one. And there's probably lots of one-hit wonders, and I'm not sure if this was a hit everywhere. This sounds dumb. Like, I know that there's some songs that were a big hit in certain places. Do you guys remember the song "Shut Up Your Face" by Joe Dolce?
Paul Dolce?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have that on album here.
Yeah, and I've got it at the shop. But that seemed like one of those
me at least twice a week. Shut up your face.
Shut up your face. What's the matter, you? Yeah, it's a great song. It's one of those. It's definitely, it would fit on a Looney Tunes album or something along the lines of that. But it seemed like it was a song that was not very popular everywhere, but certain stations picked up on it and then played the hell out of it. So with that said, I don't know if Hey St. Peter by Flash in the Pan is also one of those. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. So, but this is one-hit wonder. They're from Australia. Most notably in the band is George Young, which is Angus and Malcolm's older brother, and who produced the first couple or 3 or 4 AC/DC albums before they got others involved. But again, so I'm not sure if Hey St. Peter is one of those songs where it was popular here for some reason, but not everywhere, because I've brought it up before and people have kind of looked at me funny, kind of like you guys are now. I don't know. Are you familiar with the song Hey St. Peter?
I don't know.
I haven't heard that song, but I've heard of Flash in the Pan.
Yeah. I think if you
Very,
heard,
very unique style, that's for sure.
yeah, definitely. I think if you heard, I think maybe if you heard the song, you'd go, oh yeah, maybe. So check it out later. But yeah, like I said, George Young, and then I can't remember who else was in this band, but George, like I say, most notably, Angus and Malcolm's older brother and producer of a bunch of the first couple of AC/DC albums. He was also the guy in the Easy Beats. So Easy Beats to this, to then producing AC/DC. So George had a pretty good career of doing some stuff. But that's and they were a one-hit wonder for sure, kind of like the Easy Beats with Monday on My Mind, Georgia on My Mind, not Georgia on My Mind. You know which one I mean.
Monday, yeah.
Tuesday, I think it's actually Tuesday on My Mind. I don't remember. Yeah, but Flash in the Pan, Hey St. Peter, check it out. It's a good album, and it's a great song as well. So if you're looking for just a one-hit wonder, it's a good one. That it's got it's got a good beat. You can dance to it, like Dick Clark used to say. If that's not true, it's just a cool song.
Cool. All right. I'm going with an album that I bought for a song. I show a lot of Oasis on my channel because it's one of my most favorite bands of all time and one that means a lot to me. So I'm going to show the opposite side of the 90s Brit pop war, Parklife. And by the way, I say Brit pop war because that's what, it's referred to. I never understood that. These guys are pop and Oasis is rock bands. I don't understand why that's called the Brit pop wars. But nevertheless, I digress. As I was listening to What's the Story Morning Glory in the summer of 1995 and absolutely obsessed with that album, my girlfriend had this album, Blur's Parklife, which I think also came out the same year, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been the year before. I don't know.
No, that was the one where it was them and Oasis having the who's going to have the better album, wasn't it? I think Parklife.
Yeah. And Oasis is vastly superior to these clowns, but they do a few songs that I like. And the girlfriend had this, and I always really liked the title track called Parklife, starring some guy named Phil Daniels. I have no idea who the hell he is. But whenever she had this CD, and I'd grab her Discman and I'd be listening to it or whatever, and I'd just play that song, and I loved it. So I eventually ended up buying this CD back in the day. I think I probably still have it on CD. And I ended up liking the majority of the album. And like What's the Story Morning Glory, let's just say that there's some memories, let's just say, associated with this record. Not as many as What's the Story Morning Glory, but it's all tied into that magical summer of 1995 when a lot of wonderful things happened. But I bought this simply for the song Parklife and ended up really enjoying the whole record. They also have their follow-up, which is the one that has the boat on it, The Great Escape. There's a couple songs in there I like. Beyond that, I can't stand Song 2, which was their big monster hit. But, so I bought that for hold on, Sam. So Sam's saying break down and buy a ticket. So he's referencing the Oasis concert. So let me tell you this, Sam. I went on Ticketmaster yesterday just for shits and giggles. Just, maybe go to the One Toronto show, and it says there's a ticket available. Literally one ticket in the entire flipping stadium. And I'm like, well, I should do that. So I clicked on the ticket. And with fees, it was $516. I'm like, oh. And my wife says, do it. Once in a lifetime, do it. So I go to click on the ticket. They go to buy it. And then a little disclaimer pops up saying that this one seat is in the wheelchair accessible section, and you must be either in a wheelchair or the support person for someone in a wheelchair if you want to buy the ticket. So I could not buy the ticket. But it's a shame because there's still one ticket left. I would never do it because I'm not that kind of an asshole. But
I appreciate that because my bad.
I know you have a daughter in a wheelchair, and I would never.
But
I
a
would never do
precedent,
that.
but a precedent has been set by your wife allowing the $500 ticket. So now we just have to find you one
Yep.
that isn't,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Correct. And this is spurred on by the fact that Taylor is playing Toronto next weekend and the following weekend. And my wife's trying somehow to find tickets, and there was a small block of tickets that became available, and she got in there, and they were going to be like $1,000 for the pair with fees. And she's like, "Do I do it?" And I said yes, because I know how much it means to her. So that was why she said I could do Oasis for $500. So. But anyway, Sam, I got a year to find a ticket. Like it may happen. It may happen. So.
Bruce is Toronto tonight. Second.
I know
show.
one of my favorite musicians, Matt Mays, did a live thing on Facebook as he was driving into the concert, talking about something else. He goes, "I'm on my way to see the Boss tonight, and I can't be more excited." So
Awesome.
yeah. It kills me to know that the Boss is playing an hour away. And when those tickets went on sale, I was not a Boss fan. I'm a big fucking Boss fan now. So
Yeah, it's 2 years ago they went on sale because he had to he had to postpone last year. So yeah, that's 2 years ago already. So
correct. This is what I think we need to do, Joe, because you're going to go see Bruce in a couple of weeks when he's out there, right?
yeah, a week from tonight, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
After you do your Bruce show, you and I are going to do a Bruce video, because I still have not done a video about my exploration into Bruce's catalog. So you and I will do something. You and I got a bunch of video ideas teed up, and we
do.
never get around to doing them. So one of these
Yeah, well, as what his lips said, winter is coming. So
that's true. That's true.
yeah.
So, that brings us back to the top, and John.
Okay. I was trying to see where these guys are from. It's a little band. I kind of like their sound, and they had this. I think I found it on YouTube. They had this song, and I don't know. I just love the lyrics. That's the big thing for me. Have we ever done lyrics? Have we ever done like a show on lyrics?
We shouldn't. We haven't, but we should.
Yeah, because lyrics are big for me. That's why I'm drawn to Dylan and Neil Young and Tom Waits and all these guys. But this one was like very imaginative. It's kind of out there. The lyrics are like jumping up and down on the floor. My head is an animal. And once there was an animal, and he had a son that mowed the lawn. I'm like, that's wild. The son was an okay guy. They had a pet dragonfly, and I'm like, all right, I'm into this. Where are we going? But it's of Monsters and Men, and I'm not sure where they're from. If I was trying to look it up, but every song on here is really good. And they have a lot of videos on YouTube where they're doing like they're in a studio or something and doing like a live performance of these songs. And they have like just like a trumpet player. I think it's 2 trumpet players that are with them, but it's just a nice acoustic sound to it. But yeah, I think there was another one on here.
They're from Caropair, Iceland.
Iceland. Okay. So they're Iceland. Okay. Yeah. They had another song, Little Talks, on here that was kind of played. But if you haven't checked out Dirty Paws, check that song out. It's just, I don't know, I love the imagination of it. It's almost like somebody sitting there with a little kid or something, and they're making up these lyrics, but it's taking you somewhere. I mean, who has a pet dragonfly? It's kind of wild. But yeah, if you haven't checked this album out, it's a pretty solid album all the way through. So I definitely recommend it. But that song definitely drew me in to purchase this album. So
Alex is saying Mountain Sound was his jam back in 2013.
Oh yeah. No, I love this whole. Just has a sound to it, a little bit different. And their voices are a little bit different, so it has this kind of cool quality to it. So yep. So there you go, of Monsters and Men.
Yeah, my daughter's a fan. I think either I picked it up in a collection or I knew she was looking for it and got it for her. But yeah, she's a big fan of those guys. So that's good.
Yeah.
Sam said probably 4 beers now. He says Mountain Sound slaps that monster for sure.
Yeah, because that's how Sam talks. right? What
Exactly.
the hell are you doing, man? I think
Slap
the beer.
bass. You got to slap the bass.
Him and Alex are having a beer drinking contest remotely,
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I guess.
They're not drinking like real men. Drinking
Yeah.
whiskey out of an R2D2 glass.
Exactly.
Come on.
Or raspberry flavored tea.
There you go. Easy,
you go.
easy on that tea. All right. Don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Daryl, what do you got?
All right. So when I was looking this up, so this next one, this is definitely going towards my Canadian content thing here. And he was all over the airwaves. I mean, he's been recording music since at least the late 60s, early 70s. And I only found out recently he only had one top 40 hit in the United States on the top 40 Billboard charts. I bought this album specifically for that song, not realizing that song is his only top 40 hit in the United States. And it's off the Dancing in the Dragon's Jaw Bruce Coburn album. And it's Wondering Where the Lions Are. It's his only top 40 hit in the United States. Looking up, he had, I think, at least 10 top 20 hits in Canada. And I mean, I get it. Not everybody likes Bruce Coburn. He's got his own style. I don't mind him. And I guess I wouldn't put him in the same category as what's his name? I'm running a blank on his name. It'll come to me later. But anyway,
He's
That's
up there.
right.
I mean,
Inspired
I think
songwriter.
he's kind of up there with like Leonard Cohen, I would think.
that's who I was trying to think of. Yeah, Leonard Cohen. He's
I
an
put
acquired
Ron-
taste. You either like him or you don't.
I put Ron Sexsmith in that same category.
Yeah, and Wondering Where the Lions Are is a great song. There's another album of his I have. I can't remember what it is, but If a Tree Falls in the Forest, to me, that's a fantastic song. But the big thing is it's just shocking to me how long he's been around and only ever had one hit on the US top 40. I mean, he had, like I said, he had a slew in Canada, but he could not crack the other market.
Yeah,
Bruce Coburn.
like so many that we've talked about, right? That it's just, especially in our Canadians talking about Canadian music series, there's a lot that just they're big here, and just that 49th parallel was like an impenetrable force field.
Yeah, and I mean, I like I said, I definitely bought this Dancing in the Dragon's Jaws album just for Wondering Where the Lions Are, because it's a quirky song. It's just a different song, which, considering some of his other music, which you would have thought would go top 40, the song that does go top 40 is kind of his quirky type music.
This is the one that I think should have
Yeah.
been his biggest hit, is Lovers in a Dangerous Time.
No.
Now,
He wrote
my
that?
question to you, Rob, is what are your thoughts about the Bare Naked Ladies version of Lovers in a Dangerous Time?
It's okay.
I like it. That's one of my favorite songs off that greatest hits.
Like, I don't like the.
I like that, whatever they're using, that cello or whatever they're using to kind of move through.
Yeah,
there.
I have this. I
How
don't
far
like
off is that from the original? I've never heard the original.
It's fairly different.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like Bare Naked Ladies. I mean, I have zero respect for them now. I think they're a fucking joke. That band, as far as I'm concerned, ended when Stephen Page left because he was the talent in that band. Ed Robertson's a fucking goof. The early stuff, like on Gordon, I mean that's a landmark album here for a reason. But I mean, Lovers in a Dangerous Time was around. I don't know if it was on that or if it was on the fall. I think it was maybe on that one. But anyway, their version's okay, but it's not Bruce Coburn. I mean, the Bruce Coburn version is pretty outstanding.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. It is tight.
Richard says, I like Bruce Coburn, but I'm always surprised how inexpensive his albums are. Yeah, well, because especially where you are, Richard, I mean, he didn't do anything in the States. Nothing to speak of, really. So he's still going. I mean, he's
Yeah, Tim in the comments said he just saw him. I think.
Yeah,
I
Tim
saw
said he
that
saw
somewhere,
him
right?
this spring.
Yeah. Saw him this spring. There you go. So I don't know. I would assume Wondering Where the Lions Are is somehow politically charged, but with, not coming right out and saying it, because almost everything Bruce Cockburn did was, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. But
Yep.
maybe that was the one that didn't, I guess. I don't know. I'd have to listen to it again. I'm familiar with it for sure, but I don't know if it had political undertones. I bet that it probably did.
Well, John, you talk about lyrics. His song "If I Had a Rocket Launcher." I mean, that says everything you need to know about his thoughts about the Cold War and nuclear warfare and all that without saying it.
Okay.
Very
So
cool
Bruce-
stuff.
Bruce Cockburn, right?
It's spelt Cockburn, but is pronounced Coburn.
I'm not writing Cockburn down.
Well, that's how his name is
Yeah,
spelled. Cockburn.
Is it?
Yep.
Like you're messing with me.
I'm not messing with John. I
My
wouldn't
wife
do that.
comes in here and goes, "What are you doing on these live streams?"
Talking about Cockburns.
That's
Yeah.
right.
He's got a big hit called "When I Rub Too Fast."
There you go.
On that note, it's your turn, Joe.
All right. Wait a minute. Was that a shot that was
Speaking of Cockburns, here's Joe.
Yeah, there you go. You got that red
exactly?
sweater on.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
you're
cocks, this is I shouldn't have worn red. Anyway, yesterday was Brian Adams' birthday. I'm surprised that you're not hungover from yesterday, Rob.
Oh man, got partied pretty hard about that. Had some vegan hamburgers and
I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. I'm seriously not making this up. Now it was his birthday, so that's why. But I got in my car on the way to work. Brian Adams song. Happy birthday from Jack 94, Brian Adams. 5 friggin' times. I was in my car between going to work and then I had a couple errands to run through the day. Every time I was in my car, it's like they might as well have just all Brian Adams all day. Anyway, happy birthday, Brian.
so
If
the
you're
universe is telling you that you need more Brian Adams in your life.
And they just played Summer of '69 5 times.
Well, it should make you happy. I just pre-ordered his new Live at the Royal Albert Hall box set that comes out in 3 weeks.
That is awesome. That is one more out there that I don't need to buy then.
I bought it off Amazon, so it's not coming from his web store. So
That's fair.
I like his music, but he's a shithead.
I know. We just like to discuss Brian.
I know,
Right?
Because he's your
All-
favorite.
Yeah, exactly. All advertising is good advertising, correct? Isn't that the
Yep.
thing? Yeah.
I think you and I should do an all Brian Adams episode, or we could all do an all Brian Adams episode.
Yeah, sure. If you want. Because I think I have all, well, I don't have all of his albums. I've got some of his albums. Anyway,
some of them are not available on vinyl. So
that is correct. And those are the ones that I don't have.
well, there you go.
I'm going a true one-hit wonder, but another band that put out a lot of good music. And unfortunately, the gentleman passed away last year, I believe. But that is Mountain and Mississippi Queen. Now it's in your head, at least for me. As soon as I went down and looked at it, it was next in the stack. I just started singing it. That guitar and the lyrics, and Leslie was a very good guitar player. And maybe, I don't know, should have it done more, and maybe it did. Again, it's another band I think that they had the one big monster hit, but then they put out a lot of good music as well. I'm not sure, I'm not comparing it to what I was talking about earlier with Warren Zevon, but some good stuff, and this is a really good album and lovely artwork as well. So this is a true one-hit wonder though, but again, another band with some good stuff that just only hit the charts for what that's worth one time. That's not the be all end all. I don't think that's anything any of us are saying. I know that's not it. I don't know what constitutes a hit. Again, going back even to my last one, that Hey St. Peter, I don't know if it was a hit. I know it was on a couple of the stations that I used to listen to, but again, I don't know what constitutes a band doing well if they only have one hit, but they have 3 or 4 albums that are really good. So those, there you go.
Alex is saying those 5 or so Mountain records are fantastic. American hard rock, proto metal. Leslie West was a monster, literally.
He was a very big dude. Yeah, he was a mountain, that's for sure. And passed, I think, last year. I think so.
Cool. Okay. I'm gonna kind of relate this back to Bruce Cockburn. I mentioned Leonard Cohen, so I'm going to show Leonard Cohen, and I'm going to show Leonard Cohen kind of for two reasons. How we view Leonard Cohen in Canada, he is kind of our most revered musical poet, I think is probably a fair assumption. He is more of a poet than he is a singer. Really can't sing for shit. So in that regard, he's kind of like Bob Dylan, I guess, except it doesn't sound like his asshole being dragged across a cheese grater.
Here we go.
It kind of sounds like I don't know what it sounds like. So he's highly revered. Every musician that is a musician in Canada has reverence for Leonard Cohen. I mean, he is one of the greatest of all time. I think that's Joe. Daryl, would you kind of agree? I mean, that's kind of
Sure.
Yeah.
But I would also argue he's probably a one-hit wonder. What I mean by that is, if you go to the average person and go, "Can you name a Leonard Cohen song?" A lot of people are going to say no.
Well, they're gonna say one.
Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you go to the grocery store and go, you approach 100 people and say, "Give me a Leonard Cohen song," probably 50 of them aren't going to be able to, and the other 50 are going to say Hallelujah.
Yep.
Right? So
Yep.
it's a shame to say one-hit wonder because he's not. He is highly, highly revered, but that's the song that everyone identifies with him. But I'm showing this album because while I respect him as a lyricist and whatever, I only own one Leonard Cohen album, and I own this for the song Closing Time, which I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
First time I ever heard it, it was a big video on Much Music. It's a black and white video. It was recorded at, I can't remember the name of the club, which is now out of business in Toronto. Great video. Love the song. When 14-year-old me heard this, I was like, whoa, wow, like this is unlike anything that I had heard before. So always been my favorite Leonard Cohen song. I always appreciate him when I hear him. I don't need to own anything else because I'm not going to go, I'm going to put on a Leonard Cohen record. But if I want to put on some Leonard Cohen, I'm going to put on this.
Well, that and his last one and the posthumous one are really good too.
Yeah.
Does that have Waiting for the Miracle on that?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so that's what kind of caught my attention with him because I was watching Natural Born Killers, and they had
Right,
that
I forgot
song.
that was on there. Yeah.
And I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, and then what sucked about it, I think they put the song on the soundtrack, but they put like a monologue from the movie over it and kind of ruined the song for me. And I didn't realize it was on another album. I thought it was only on there because there was a Dylan song on that soundtrack too that was killer. Forgot the name of it, but now I'm gonna have to look for that album because I love that song. It's so moody and it fit perfectly in that.
Closing Time's kind of the same thing. It's it's an old guy in a smoky bar, and it's awesome.
I'm gonna have to look for that album. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find it. I mean, they just repressed that, I think,
Really?
just recently, like within the last year or so. So I see it quite often. So
Yeah, I'll be at the record store tomorrow. So what's the name of the album again?
it's called The Future.
The Future.
It's got an absolutely shitty album cover. Like it looks like
Yeah, it's kind of
College Band or some bootleg or something, but that's what it looks like.
yeah. What year did that come out?
Looks like some American traditional tattoo.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
Came out in '92, John.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, it's right about that time.
Yeah. Alex is saying most Americans will associate with Hallelujah. Most of them will not know who wrote it. We know the Jeffrey Bucklesworth. Sure. Yeah. We'll
He's
go with that.
referring to that one.
Yes, exactly. Jeffrey Bucklesworth. So this is an interesting question. Leonard Cohen, is he greater than Gordon Lightfoot?
Yes.
I mean, I think they're of equal. Here, I think they're of equal. They're different, right? Because
They're way
Gordon
different.
Lightfoot is the storyteller. Leonard Cohen is the poet.
Mm.
Gordon Lightfoot is a vastly superior musician.
And I think going back to what you were saying, Rob, what you were saying earlier, I think the average Canadian could name more than one Lightfoot song.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
probably they could rhyme off 5 or 6 or 7, sure, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're gonna go Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and they're gonna go Black Day in July and Carefree Highway, you know, whatever.
Sundown. That's my song.
Sundown, sure.
Sundown, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it, though. I think you said it aptly that Leonard was a poet. Gordon was a songwriter, a storyteller, more of a Canadian. That's not fair to say, but he definitely worked that in much more than Leonard Cohen did, for sure. Leonard didn't, but
yeah. Well, Leonard's stuff is a little more abstract, or you know, whatever. Whereas a lot of Gordon's stuff is songs specifically about the Canadian experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. John, you're up again.
Okay. All right. Well, this album came out in '89. I was trying to pick something a little, you know, I think we're doing a pretty good job of picking some albums people haven't seen in a while. So that's us trying to do tonight. So I know this isn't really that well known, but it's the Neville Brothers, Yellow Moon.
Yeah.
Great era for Daniel Lanois as far as production. And I would say this hits a lot of subjects on here: spirituality, like civil rights kind of movement things, racism, all that kind of thing. But the song, I think I've done videos in the past where it's like, if you like this song, you might like whatever. And I think that's how I came across this song. I was just put a song in and just let YouTube music do its thing. And next thing I know, I'm finding all these songs. But there's a song on here it's a Dylan song called With God on Your Side. And it's an early Dylan song. And it's talking about all these really interesting lyrics, you know, talking about, you know, like Judas compared to Jesus, you know, did he do these things with God on his side? You know, kind of going, he helped crucify his son, but was God on his side at the same time because he was sent here to do that. He talks about war, you know, how we kill people and all that, but we're okay killing people because God's on our side, you know. So it's a really interesting lyrics in there. But they also do Sam Cooke's "A Change Is Gonna Come" on here. And what I do like about With God on Your Side is it's, you know, Aaron Neville's voice is like there's no other voice. How that voice comes out of that giant of a guy is crazy to me. You know, Tell It Like It Is, the first song I ever heard by him. And I'm like, that's the guy that sings it? Holy crap, you know. But With God on Our Side, it's just his voice. It's like Devil in a Long Black Coat, or The Man in a Long Black Coat by Dylan off of his album. Like when Lanois does that really airy, spacey kind of sound, that's what this song is. So you just hear Aaron Neville's voice just floating through the song, and they kind of add the music as it goes along. So that song's like amazing if you haven't heard that. And they also do, there's another one on here, another Dylan song. Shoot, I always forget the name of it. Oh, The Ballad of Hollis Brown is on there. But yeah, and there's Sister Rosa is another civil rights kind of song. But yeah, if you haven't heard, it's not your typical Neville Brothers song. It's Daniel Lanois getting there. They recorded it like in a small room in Louisiana, and just an amazing album. So I would check that out.
Good one.
Cool.
Real quick, if I may, Tim made a comment. So Long Marianne is a really good song. And my question is there's a show on, I think it's on Crave, so it might only be in Canada, called So Long Marianne, which is somewhat the Leonard Cohen story. It's back to his early days, and I'd wondered, I hadn't started watching it yet, and I wasn't sure if maybe any of you guys had seen it or started watching it yet. I just came across it, and it didn't dawn on me. And then I thought about it and went, so that's a Leonard. And then it's him early and meeting, you know, I don't know if her name actually was Marianne or not, because I haven't started watching it. But so It's out there, but none of you have started watching, so I have no idea what it's like. But something to look for if you're into that sort of thing.
There. Daryl.
Yeah. So my next choice, I got a twofer. Basically the same song, but on two different albums. Now, if you ask most people, what's your favorite soundtrack of the 1980s, they're going to tell you Top Gun, they're going to tell you Footloose, they're going to tell you Flashdance, something like that.
Grease 2.
But when I was a kid, my one of my favorite movies was like a fantasy type movie, but it's got the one-hit wonder. And I happened to buy both of these within like a 1 month span, not even realizing I was going to do it, just because I got them from two separate things. And that is the Never Ending Story soundtrack with the title track, The Never Ending Story. And I do have the Lamal album.
Yep.
And it's just fantastic. I mean, the Never Ending Story cover that I have, I mean, it's beat up and all that kind of stuff. I got it for like $5 or something like that, but it's just a fantastic movie. Really cool with that Luff Dragon right there.
Alcor.
But you know what? This soundtrack, I mean, it goes through like, and he's going through like the swamps and all that kind of stuff in the movie. It has all those songs. I don't know if it's in the specific order of the movie, but it's really cool. And I did not realize that Giorgio Moroder was the one that was responsible for this. I think he's an Italian. He usually does like soundtracks and stuff, so kind of cool. But I just think I look at this. I look at Lamal, and I mean, he's got like the David Bowie hair and everything going on.
Yeah.
In that picture there.
It's like David Bowie and George Michael had a kid.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I just think it's a cool song.
It is.
I mean,
it comes on.
Anybody that was a kid or an adult in the 1980s, that you'd recognize that movie and that song.
Yep.
But like I said, I mean, you're talking about Karate Kid and Top Gun and all those other movies from the 80s. It's kind of one of those soundtracks that goes a little forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those catchy songs. You don't turn it off when it comes on. It's a good song.
Love that movie. That was a great movie when I was a kid. Loved it. Joe.
My favorite soundtrack was anything with Bryan Adams on it.
So Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
That's right.
Everything I do for you.
I like that song. That's a good song.
I like the soundtrack for Grease too.
You like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Holy fuck.
Yes, he does.
Rob's going to turn the camera off. Just make sure you turn the mic off too, Rob. We don't want to hear that.
How do I turn my camera off here? Let me just do this. There we go.
Camera and mic. There you go.
Woo.
What's going on? Wait,
we don't want to hear the going on.
All right.
Bruce Cockburn.
Bruce Cockburn. Yeah, exactly. Hey, how did Ace do with you guys last week? Was he all right? Was he good?
Yeah, he was good. He was good.
Was he all right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Seemed like a good guy.
Yeah, he's all right. He comes over every once in a while. Just happened to be on a Wednesday night this time. So next up is a song co-written. Well, the one-hit wonder off it is a song co-written by a Canadian dude that sounds like a girl. And when you hear him sing, you go, that's a girl. That's not a guy. Which is Nick Gilder. Exactly. And Nick Gilder wrote half or parts of The Warrior.
Love that. That's a great
album. That?
Yeah. I didn't. It's one of those things I learned a little while ago, not that recently, but a little while ago when he was saw him live, I don't know, 4 years ago. And he goes, Kay, I know I only had a couple of songs, but I wrote some songs and here's one of them. And then he played Warrior and it was like, hey, sure as shit he did. So
I know why you like Nick Gilder, because his first hit was when he played with Sweeney Todd. Who, when he left Sweeney Todd, he was replaced by
Bryan Adams. He was. That's right.
If Wishes Were Horses. If that ever comes into your store, I need it.
That sounds good. I've got it somewhere. I don't know. But great song. I love it every time it comes on. It's certainly one of those that that gets me going. You know, there's certain one-hit wonders that have been overplayed too much, but I can still hear Warrior over and over again. And Patty was such a great voice. There was a
There's a lot of good songs.
yeah, there was a couple. Only the Young was also on here,
Yep.
which is great. You know, so it wasn't necessarily one hit wonder, but one album ish wonder. But
yeah, it's a solid album.
yeah, it's great. Like I said, it's one of those that I can hear. You know, if you're listening to an '80s channel or whatever. A few years ago, there was a show on, I think it was on HBO, called Glow, which was the Glorious Ladies of Wrestling, and it was the soundtrack to that. And it was through the opening credits, and it was one of the few things that I never skipped through the credits because I always enjoyed hearing that song every week when it came on. But Patty Smyth and Scandal, pardon me, featuring Patty Smyth and the Warrior, co-written by Mr. Nick Gilder. And you know what? She has a lower voice, I think, than Nick Gilder does, I think, when she sings it and when he sang it. He did sound good singing it, though, so it was good. And it, like I said, it's just one of my favorite happy one-hit wonder songs for sure.
So I assume when you saw him,
I came this close to picking that one.
Yeah, I have it over there. Yep.
when you saw him, he did his other two songs, I imagine, Roxy Roller and Hot Child in the City.
He did. Yeah, that's right. He also wrote Rated X by Pat Benatar, which is also a really, really good song, which I think was on Crimes of Passion. So I don't know if he wrote that by himself, but he co-wrote Rated X by Pat Benatar, if you listen to that one or if you remember that one, which is also, again, it's another great song. It's a very, it fits in with Warrior and Hot Child in the City and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Pat Benatar, too. That's somebody I'd like to see put out a greatest hits on vinyl. I don't think their albums are completely solid, but I'd like to get a good solid greatest hits because she had some really strong songs.
Agreed.
I've never seen it on vinyl. Yeah.
There's a live one which was kind of hits, but that was, I think, maybe even before Love Is a Battlefield. I think it was in between that there was a live album which was kind of, but you're right. I think that'd be good, and they could probably fill it up because she did some good. I thought she did some good albums, and again there was some good not filler on them, stuff like Rated X, which was kind of a hit. But I agree with that. And her and Neil just got inducted a couple years ago, I think, in the Hall of Fame.
I think so.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, she's a great rock voice. Yeah, good female rock.
Yeah.
voice.
Oh yeah, definitely. Always been a Pat Benatar fan.
Yeah.
Those Nick Gilder songs remind me of some fond strip club memories.
Oh yeah. They might have, if he just got royalties from his songs being played in strip clubs, he'd probably be doing okay. So,
Like
the time I partied with Ron Jeremy, but we'll save that story for another day.
Lord.
that's a story.
Tale.
That's a true story, by the way.
He did go to Guelph, didn't he?
Yes.
I have an ex-girlfriend that went to school at University of Guelph, and I went to go visit her, and I missed it by 2 days.
I was there. It was at the Canadian Adult Entertainer Awards, which were being held at the Manor, and my girlfriend was a dancer, my best friend was a dancer, and my brother-in-law was the head doorman. So I was like Norm at Cheers. Yeah. Anyway, story for another day.
I have to do a whole episode on that one.
Well, we could. Sort of one-hit wonder, I guess. I think she had 2 or 3 hits, but most people will recognize this one. Lisa Loeb. Her big hit was Stay, and I've told this story before, and I've showed this before. This is her debut album called Tales, which came out in 95. She had recorded this song as an unsigned artist, and she was friends with Ben Stiller. No, she was friends with Ethan Hawke, who was in Reality Bites, directed by Ben Stiller. He convinced Ben to put Stay in the credits of the movie, so they did. Still unsigned at this time. The movie came out. For some reason, everyone loved that song. A radio station in Dallas picked it up and started getting airplay. It kind of spread across the country. and consequently, she became the first unsigned artist to top the Billboard Hot 100 and got a record deal as a result of that. And so this was her first album, and obviously it included that song. Her second album, which was Firecracker, which for some reason it's not on vinyl, I wish it was, it had her other big hit on it, when the name of it escapes me at the moment. But yeah, this is, when people think of Lisa Loeb, they think of the song Stay. I like a lot of her stuff. I have several of her albums, including one that she signed for me. But anyway, this is ridiculously hard to find. There's a 1995 pressing, which is crazy expensive. And then there's this one, which is a Japanese pressing from a couple years ago, which is also absolutely insanely expensive and hard to find. So I'm glad that I scooped it up when it first came out. But if you like the song Stay, this is kind of what the rest of her album sounds like. It's kind of that acoustic,
I like that song.
kind of folky stuff. It's actually a really enjoyable record. So I wish.
The cool thing about Lisa Loeb, she's still relevant today. I mean, she's got her own segment there on Sirius Radio and all that.
Yep.
And just plays some really cool stuff from the 90s.
Yeah, she does. And she's still putting out music. She's done kids albums. She's still putting out solo albums. She put out one during the pandemic that I have, and that's the one that she signed for me. And yeah, so.
And she still looks exactly like that on the back of the album, pretty much, because she did a little guest spot on that 90s show, kind of parodying herself from when that came out, and she looked exactly the same.
She does.
Not even a little older, just exactly the same.
Yep.
So
she's aged incredibly well. Richard is saying a few minutes ago, sorry, Richard, it's taking me a while to get around to this. His entry point to XTC was skylarking just for Dear God, and ended up buying almost everything they've done. Great albums. Yeah. I've done a few artists like that where I bought an album for one song and I ended up owning, the entire discography. That's happened more than once.
Yeah, XTC's on my radar. Yeah, I did their first 3 albums, and you could just see their progression through the first 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, a band where a couple of hits, that and Making Plans for Nigel, but a great discography of fantastic music. So.
It's crazy. Like you listen to these albums, and you can't tell the difference between a hit or not. They're all just great songs.
Yeah.
I guess somehow the companies know, okay, this one's gonna be more popular or something. But there's so many like deep tracks. You're like, why the hell why don't people know about this song?
And you wonder if it's timing, if it's like if XTC would have came out in the 90s versus the 80s, if it would have been different, because I think they arguably have a little bit of a 90s sound, despite the fact that they were kind of around in the 80s, or even, I don't even know for sure if they weren't into the 70s, but
early 70s, or late 70s,
early 80s, late, high school for me, so 79 to 83 or whatever, but it's such good stuff, but and again, does it matter to them? Did they have a bunch of songs on the radio? I don't know if it matters or not, but I think it's just timing, because I would argue that they're arguably as good as the Police, as an example, and the Police were all over radio. Now they also kind of had the look and
they're more commercial friendly,
video part of it and things like that, so that was a big part of it. So just timing.
Yeah, Dear God was a stretch. I remember that only being played maybe late at night, some videos during like an alternative show or something. But that caught my attention, especially the way they shot the video with the kids singing it in the beginning. And you're like, what's this?
Yeah, it's good. It's really good, actually. So
and the lyrics, talk about some lyrics. That's some good lyrics right there.
Yeah.
Good. John, is it your turn now? I think. Did I lose track? Your turn, right?
After you. Yeah.
All
right. So this is one guy. I have 2 copies of this album because I can hardly ever find it, but it's John Butcher. I have shown it before, but I like to show it because a lot of people don't know about this album.
You've heard of him.
It's called Wishes. I want to say one of his songs was in an 80s movie. It's a very 80s kind of sounding album with a lot of reverb and all that stuff going in there. But he's a hell of a guitar player. Before this, he had some albums, and he called them his band John Butcher Axis, kind of like in tribute to Jimi Hendrix. And he does have a Hendrix style of playing. But unfortunately, people didn't like him calling himself that, so they started calling him John Butcher Asshole instead. So he dropped the Axis part and said, I'll just be John Butcher. But the song off of this that caught my attention was it's called Prisoners of the Silver Chain, and it's a really just atmospheric 80s atmospheric kind of sounding song. Like, Rob, if you listen to that Sheryl Crow, unreleased album,
Yeah.
that sound,
Okay.
and it's cool. It's like, basically Prisoners of the Silver Chain is like your tie to your soul kind of thing, and that breaking that whole thing. But I think Goodbye Saving Grace was a release, and it's a really cheesy, really bad 80s video. And I think he just never really crossed over into anything else. He has a lot of albums. He does some blues albums. He has it's interesting. He has a song on here called Holy War, and this is set in the 80s where that preacher Jerry Falwell was very popular. Mm-hmm. And he kind of is talking about the hypocrisy of war and preachers and all that stuff in that song. It's a solid album with a lot of good hooks, a lot of good guitar playing. And in the song Wishes itself, the title track off the album is really cool. It's like if wishes were horses, then dreamers would ride, kind of thing. So yeah, if you ever see this, I would grab it. It's a good album, and it's hard to find. When I found a second one, I'm like, oh hell, I'm gonna grab that one too, because I have one CD and I don't ever see the CD on this. So kind of keep that on your radar there. You can't even find this on YouTube either. You can't find the music. So
I just did.
Did you on YouTube?
Yeah. I just muted myself, and I just played a couple of songs, just like a little snippet of it. It was good.
Yeah. So yeah, check it out. So yep, John Butcher.
Cool.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked his guitar playing for the 30 seconds that I heard.
He's a hell of a guitar player. He's comparable to Hendrix, but he's not a Hendrix.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Daryl.
All right. So, for a lack of punniness here, I'm going to do a threesome now.
That's
what I'm doing.
Well, keep me.
They all go hand in hand.
I bet they do.
Each of these albums, I bought. I like the albums, but I mean, they all have one song on them that is probably the most popular, and it's by the same band or iteration of the band or iteration of a duo that came out of this band. So I got to go with Canada again, and we'll talk about the Payolas. And this one is the No Stranger to Danger, and Eyes of a Stranger is on that one. And then they went to Paul Hyde and the Payolas, and You're the Only Love is off this one, kind of the slow song that they had. And then Paul Hyde separated himself from the band, and he became Rockin' Hyde. And they did a song called Dirty Water, which to me is fantastic. It is not the Standells' Dirty Water. It's a different song on its own. I think it's from 1985 or whatever. But if you haven't checked out Rockin' Hyde's Under the Volcano, it's a pretty good album. And I mean, the Payolas are just great. I mean, it's that 1980s, early 80s Canadian rock, soft rock stuff. I mean, I don't know what more to say. I think it's great stuff, and just kind of ironic that I have all three, which are three different iterations of the band or the duet or the duo, I should say. And yeah, so I think that when they were the Payolas, not necessarily Rockin' Hyde, I do think that Eyes of a Stranger and You're the Only Love, I think they did chart in the United States and parts of Europe. So they did make their way around a little bit anyway. Yeah.
Love the Payolas, man. So good. And another one-hit wonder, which was Rough Trade, Carol Pope and them did a song, Never Said I Loved You. Love that song as well. Bob Rock, for those watching or those that will be, Bob Rock of the Payolas is the Bob Rock that produced all of the greatest, some of the greatest metal albums that, we all listen to and enjoy as well. And that's the one band. And I assume, I don't know if Paul can't sing or Bob doesn't have the time, but that's the one band of that era that I never see out playing, the circuit or whatever, like doing the reunion stuff or along the lines of that. But I would love to see that. Like I said, I don't know if that's because Paul can't sing, but I think he can, because the gentleman from Spirit of the West, whose name escapes me, that passed away from brain cancer, he did something for him a couple of years ago when that happened, right? And so he could still sing. So I think that's okay, but it might just be that Bob is not interested, but I'd love to see that. As far as the style of the payolas, a little bit.
It's like new wavy rock, wave type rock kind of music, or and even with "You're the Only Love," I mean, they do the, I wouldn't say ballad stuff, but the soft, mellow stuff too. It's
but hammer on a drum, Soldier. Here Come the China Boys, back to the first album, even before Eyes of a Stranger or whatever. Just awesome stuff. Like, if you're looking for something new, Richard, listen to one, and you won't stray too far, I don't think, if you go from the start, like that Daryl showed to the finish, and look up the one with them and Carol Pope from Rough Trade as well. That's a good fun song, kind of. I love that one, actually, and Carol sounds really good on there. But there's another one-hit wonder which I didn't pull out, but Rough Trade and High School Confidential, that definitely falls into the category. They had a couple, I guess. It's more of a Canadian. They probably only had one hit in the States and some more in Canada. So,
I'm not going to take a turn, but I'm going to take a turn because I want to. But
you do what you do.
It's not my turn, but I'm going to hijack because you mentioned Spirit of the West quickly, and it's John Mann who passed away. And I pulled the Spirit of the West. I pulled their greatest hits. Let me make myself big here, because I think you could argue the Spirit of the West was probably a one-hit wonder. Everybody knows Home for a Rest.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, I know a lot of their other songs, but if you polled a lot of people, they would go, "Oh, Spirit of the West, Home for a Rest." To our American friends, you go, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And it is a fantastic song about being away from home and doing way too much drinking that you need to go home for a rest. So I always think of it in the same kind of vein as, like, it's kind of like a Canadian drinking version of 500 Miles by the Proclaimers. It's that same kind of.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
And not to mention they also do "And If Venice Is Sinking," which probably is the only song out there that has the lyrics "an erection on a horse."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You know what? I forgot about that.
That does not sound good. That does not.
Yeah, Marini's little man and an erection on a horse.
I forgot about Venice Is Sinking. Shame on me. So
well, again, they fall into the two-hit wonder category. I think when we talk about one-hit wonders, the bands that didn't sustain hit after hit after hit after hit. But Venice Is Sinking. That's a great song. And if you didn't say that, I was gonna make that smart-ass comment. The only time that's come up in a lyric, I think. So
and they're one of the few bands I've seen live. They actually came up to my hometown when I was in high school and played at our local arena. I have no idea why they came up there, but it was fantastic. Some guy threw a beer bottle up on stage, and the lead singer paused in mid-sentence and threw the beer bottle right back and smacked him right in the face. It was amazing.
Like he'd done it before, eh? Boom.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
That's good.
All right, Joe, I didn't mean to butt in line, so I guess it's your turn.
Man, you do whatever you need to do. I'm just happy. I'm just happy to be here. Yeah. It is not. Is it rapid fire time? No. Yes.
You can be whatever you want. We still got another, 10 minutes or so before we need to worry about rapid fire.
All right, I'm going just a single one then. So this is a song specifically written to steal a girl away, and I don't know. I think eventually it worked anyway, and it's Derek and the Dominoes and Layla, right? So again, couple hits, kind of, right? But Layla's the hit, and one album, right? One and done, and that's it. And it was to steal her away, and it did. So what else did he have to accomplish? I guess, right? So And I don't need to talk about this. I think everybody's somewhat familiar with. If not, you should be, because it's fantastic. Some of the Allman Brothers on here, of course, Eric Clapton on here, Derek and the Dominoes, and Layla. Yeah, so I don't need to talk a whole bunch about it. Sometimes there's just albums you just need to show, and everybody's got in their mind, oh man, I remember when I heard Layla. I remember when I found out what Layla was about. I remember listening to Layla just the other day, because it's a double album, thankfully. At least when they only got together once, they really did a whole bunch of really good music. So it is a very good album, but of course, just the one hit per se.
Oh, there's not a bad song on that freaking album. I mean,
No, there isn't.
Crap.
Yeah.
It just keeps throwing it at you. Yeah.
Yeah. For something that you would think came together fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't
good.
know how long he thought about it, and then,
Yeah.
Put pen to paper or whatever he did. But
It was about a year because he went to hang out with the band in Woodstock because he wanted to join them and realized even he was out of his league and was a little ticked off that he couldn't join the band. So it was his attempt to be the band. That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a fantastic album. And it's one of those, it doesn't come up a lot, but it comes up a fair bit. Like that should be one of those, not Grail, because again, it sold a whole buttload, but it's definitely one that when you see it, grab it, because
it's a Grail.
It's just an album. It's an album to have, I think.
Yeah.
And you guys, agree.
Yeah. Have you heard the Tedeschi Trucks, them doing the whole thing live?
I haven't heard that. No.
Yeah, it's very good. It's like a 2 or 3 album set. They bring in Doyle Bramhall, and they just kill it.
Cool.
So if you ever get a chance, check that out.
I will have to look for that. That's awesome. But yeah, so one hit wonder, only did one album, but they damn well did it. They did it well.
Oh yeah, that was good.
I would dare say that's almost an essential album. Like it's one of those you need to hear.
It's
I
like
wouldn't argue with
you. Yeah, you got to have Blind Faith. You got to have Disraeli Gears. You got to have Layla. Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with you on that for sure.
Yep. Okay, I'm going with an album I bought for a single song, and it ended up that it introduced me to that band. I mean, I knew of them. I knew their past work, but wasn't interested in it at the time. And that was about this album, Bon Jovi's Crush, when the song It's My Life came out, which was their huge hit back in 1997, I think. Late 90s. I remember the first time I saw the video for it on Much Music, I went, Bon Jovi's still around. Because to me, they were the hair metal, hair power, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
From back in the 80s, Wanted Dead or Alive, or, Shot Through the Heart, You Love Bad Name. That's what I thought of them. And it never bothered to pay attention. And then I saw the video for It's My Life. And, I like that song. So I bought the album on CD for that song. And I ended up absolutely loving the whole album. Then I'm like, all right. And I went back and I have loved this band for 20 years. I don't own everything that they've put out, but I own a lot of it. And this was just the album that started it. And, we were talking about deep cuts, and I think this is an album of theirs that has some really, really excellent deep cuts. There's a great song in here called Captain Crash and the Beauty Queen from Mars that I love. Another song called Two Story Town, which is amazing. This album, I just absolutely fell in love with this band. So, all because of It's My Life.
Very cool. That is a good song. That is a very good song.
Yeah, those drums that just hooks you. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
there's guitar hooks and then there's drum hooks, and that definitely has a little of both, I guess. But
Yeah, and then just the whole lyrics behind it. Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah. I read some rumors that apparently John is growing more content with his vocal staying power to the point that they're tossing around the idea of touring next year, which
Yeah,
I'm excited about. And I said to the wife, I'm going. I don't care if you're coming on. If you want to come, great. If not, I will go by myself. It doesn't matter, because probably the only time I'll get to see Bon Jovi. And truthfully, I'm of the camp. I'm a big fan of Phil X. I prefer him over Richie Sambora. So I'd like to see the Phil X version of Bon Jovi. So
I saw Bon Jovi, and you know who opened for him? Kid Rock. Actually.
who's that?
Yeah.
Fucking
Just saying, so. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish my dad was still alive for many reasons, but one of them is he knew Phil X.
Mm.
I never got to meet Phil X because when my dad used to socialize with Phil X, I was like 10 years old, maybe. So
Yeah, see some
that's when Phil was doing his work with Triumph.
Mm.
So
Excellent.
let's see here. JWG Moore. A few more. The Monks, Drug in My Pockets, Moon Martin, Rolene, The Kings, The Beat Goes On, Switch and the Glide. I love that. I got that over here. I've
Amazing.
talked about it before. That's a fantastic song. Or two songs, I guess you could say. Midnight Oil, Beds Are Burning. Bought the albums for those songs. Yep.
Midnight Oil. You don't hear about them a lot. And
No.
what a weird voice that guy had, but man, it worked. Yeah,
It did.
Yeah.
It did, absolutely.
And that Monks album is solid all the way through. Like Drugs in My Pocket is what it is, and it's just good power poppy punky whatever. So I recommend that whole album, Bad Habits. The second one not so much, and that Moon Martin album I've got, but I haven't listened to it. But I kind of forgot about Rolene. I'm gonna have to go listen to that now after we're done, I think, because I remember that being a great song. So.
cool.
And the Kings we've talked about the Kings before. The Kings are still
Yeah.
out there, and
There.
no, they're living off that song. But that's a great album too. That first album, the second one, Amazon Beach, not so much. But that first album, that whole first side is fantastic. It's a
All
great
you
album.
need is their first album. That's all you need.
Yeah. Well, the cover there's some good album art on the other one. If you like,
The album art on The Kings Are Here, the first album, is shit.
yeah.
I mean, it rivals as far as Siam for being like the worst album cover of all time. It's dreadful.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, let's do a lightning round because we're hitting close to the 2-hour mark here. So take as much time as you want, but you know, show as many as you want to show, and we'll make it our last round. So, John, you're up.
All right, no pressure.
No pressure.
So I don't have a lot of Christmas albums, and this isn't really a Christmas album, but the song that drew me to this album, I mean, I already knew about these artists, but it was the 12 Days of Christmas, and it's Canadian related. So any idea who?
Bob and Doug, the greatest Christmas song ever. I love
knew
it.
you were going to show that.
I
As
love
an
that.
American, I freaking grew up on this movie. I freaking loved every bit of the freaking Strange Brew movie. So these are my guys.
So I know how much you love Bob and Doug McKenzie. Do you know who Red Green is?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I encourage you to go on YouTube and look for Red Green.
Okay,
It's
right.
the name of a guy. He's a comedian. His real name is Steve Smith. He's from Hamilton. And he did a TV show called The Red Green Show. And Red Green Show has a channel, and all the episodes are on there.
Okay.
It was a half-hour show. It started on the local TV channel in Hamilton, which is just near where I live. Then it became syndicated across Canada. It is more culturally relevant now to my generation and Daryl's generation than Bob and Doug McKenzie are.
Okay.
But it's the same kind of humor. It's a guy in a flannel suit, and he's the president of Possum Lodge, and his goofy nephew Harold works there, and it's all about just them doing, you know, stuff at the lodge. He has a segment called the Handyman Corner, where he builds shit, and he ends up every single time he ends up building the damn thing out of duct tape, which is the handyman's secret weapon. And you know, he always says his catchphrase, "Don't keep your stick on the ice." If you like Bob and Doug McKenzie, you will love Red Green. I promise. Am I right, guys?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
they go
for
hand in
sure.
hand.
And I do have Canadian ties because I have on my father's side of my family, they moved from Europe in the 1800s over to Canada. So I have French Canadian blood running through my veins. And they settled in like Massachusetts area and then somehow ended up in Florida. But so maybe this was me connecting with my people. I don't know. On my dad's side. But I mean, the shock therapy, the steamroller, the drinking the whole vat of beer, and gee, I gotta pee. I mean,
Red Green is just an evolution of that.
Yeah, and this is a Canadian content certified too, just so you know.
I know. I have that record.
It's
Mm.
100%.
Hang on.
Yeah. Well, stuff on there like Beer Hunter on there. My friends and I used to do that bit all the time. It was a great that was a great comedy album, and then the movie soundtrack as well. But
Yeah.
and then the song, right? Take Off, eh? Take Off with Geddy Lee is a great
Yeah.
it's a great song as well, which is also on there. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's just a good album. You could almost again, this could be arguably, but what Cheech and Chong is to that drugs, we'll call it, Bob and Doug are Canadian. Like they're just,
Right.
they've got those classic bits like Cheech and Chong do. And I'm a big fan of them as well. And they're half Canadian too. Just a bunch of good Canadians, eh? And we like our Florida guys. Yeah.
Yep.
Beauty, eh? But
Take
yeah.
Off.
So lightning round. So here's some more 80s. Lindsey Buckingham, go
Hold
insane.
on. I forgot it was lightning round. There we go.
So it's really 80s sounding. I guess he recorded it in his basement or somewhere and on a 24 track or something. I was just looking it up. But it's very, very 80s sounding. A lot of sound effects. He's throwing everything on it. But I think this is the album with his most hooks. I'd like to see him do this like stripped down, like acoustic or something, because every song has a great hook on this album. And I don't like a lot of Lindsey albums all the way through, but I like this one.
I've seen him do a solo acoustic show live, and it was awesome.
Oh, I can imagine.
It was great.
And then you got The Confessor, the first time I heard that song. Joe Walsh. Yeah. This is just one of his best albums, I'm concerned. He always has he always brings his little bit of goofiness to his albums, but this one's a little more serious, I guess.
I don't have that one, but I worship him. He's my guitar god.
Yeah, and it took me a long time to find like a really good copy of this album. So if you don't have that one, let's see. Stone Roses.
I need to get that.
A girlfriend of mine said, check out this song, I Want to Be Adored, which is the first song off of this. And I didn't really get it at the time. It was 80s and I was into, Billy Joel pop music and stuff. So I didn't quite get what she was getting at with this album. It took me a while, but it definitely grew on me. So, and I know this is kind of like the beginning of Oasis, I guess.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah.
So a girl turned Rob on to Oasis, right? And or Blur. And then Stone Roses. I had a girl that turned me on to U2. So girls are good for stuff, eh?
It's funny how they motivate us to do things. I wonder how they do that.
Yeah.
Smarter than us.
They have secret weapons or something.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And then I was turned on by this album with the song No Woman, No Cry. And then once I bought the album, I knew of Bob Marley, but I never knew Bob Marley. And this was a great entry into Bob Marley world because he had that reggae sound, but he was able to do, like almost pop hooks to his music, but kept the reggae feel to the whole thing. So, this just opened my eyes to a whole new world of music. So I got a bunch here. You let me know when I need to cut it off because I got a.
You decide. Do three more.
Okay. So, all right, fellow Canadian, right?
I don't own that, and I need to own that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
This album, I knew the song Somewhere Along the Crazy River, and I heard
I
it.
don't
And I
like
didn't
that
really,
song, though. That's the thing. I don't like that song.
I do now. Like when I was younger, I'm like, I didn't get it. I was fascinated by the video because I watched it on MTV a lot. And he had this other guy. I don't know who the other guy that was singing in the song, but
the guys from the Bodines are in that. So doing that kind of higher end part or whatever.
yeah, he had that distinct voice. And I was always drawn to that guy in the video, but I never I need to go get that album. But what kind of led me to this album was, later Rod Stewart covered Broken Arrow on here. And then I was like, oh, Robbie Robertson wrote that. Okay, because I discovered the band. I'm like, let me see. And I really like his version of Broken Arrow. And, of course, U2's on here. You can definitely hear Lanois working with U2 on Joshua Tree at the same time. These are, I don't want to say they're twin albums, but they're close cousins as far as these albums go.
Have I ever shown you this, John? My Robbie Robertson autograph.
No, oh geez.
That's,
Yeah, you just topped me.
I didn't get it in person. I bought it, but it's authenticated.
So okay, so I'll show two more. All right. So a song that kind of led me to my opening to Tears for Fears was the song Mad World. And I could really talk about relating to lyrics. When I first heard this, when I was in high school, we moved a lot, and I ended up going to like 3 different high schools. And I remember being like that kid sitting in the lunchroom and like not knowing anybody. So when I heard the lyrics to this, you know, the teacher doesn't know you, you raise your hand kind of thing, you're kind of shy. I was like, wow, that's like, I can get that song. And this album, I guess it was their debut album, because they had some EPs before this, but it was kind of like had a theme to it. They're saying it's sort of a concept album about like child abuse and different things in this album. So I didn't know anything about that. So I'm going to have to kind of give it a re-listen with that kind of in mind, but that's a killer album.
Mhm.
And let's see. All right. We got to bring up Neil Young, Freedom. My friend for years was trying to get me into Neil Young, and I was kind of you, Rob, in the 80s going, it's listing, your ass on a cheese grater or whatever. Didn't get it, didn't understand. I'm like, the guy can't sing, because I'm listening to pop songs at the time. So I'm listening to Bon Jovi or Billy Joel or Elton John, all those guys. And in this voice comes up, I'm like, what the freak? Why do you want me to listen to that? But when I heard, there's a song called Wrecking Ball on here, and the feeling and the emotion he put into that song. And then of course, Rocking in the Free World was on this. And I actually kind of prefer the acoustic version of it over the electric version on here. But when you listen to this album, you're just like, what a great storyteller. It doesn't matter what the voice is, it's the emotion he's putting into the songs, and they're well-crafted songs. So yeah, it took me forever to find this. And then of course they put out the 4-album box set. So now I have 2 copies of it, but yeah, Neil Young, Freedom. There you go.
Good fix.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, Daryl, your lightning round.
All right. So in the past, we've talked about Amanda Marshall. I'm not going to show her on this, but there is a musician from the 90s. I always liked it as a one-hit wonder. She's from Wales. But I bought this. I've been listening to the crap out of this album, and it's Donna Lewis's Now in a Minute album. I Love You Always Forever was the one-hit wonder song on it. But this album is stellar, and it's got the gold vinyl. But there's a song called Nothing Ever Changes, really good. Fool's Paradise is a great song. I like it from start to finish. So if you haven't checked it out, she's a Welsh singer. I don't know how much more she's made, but that's a really good one. Then I've got Frankie Miller. I forget the name of this album. I think it might be just a self-titled. I think he's Scottish. But I was watching I always go on YouTube and I watch The Voice, but not specific ones. I like it when they show like the voice of Norway and the voice of different countries. And I was watching this episode of The Voice of Belgium, and there was this guy. He just referred to himself as Vim or Wim, something like that. He did a cover of the song Jealousy by Frankie Miller. It's fantastic. So I bought that album solely because I watched The Voice video. Because I like the original.
And that album cover could go on worst album covers list, because that was pretty interesting with his face and then a pair of feet coming across.
Maybe he's got a fetish.
What's going on there? Okay.
Good fetish. That's a thing.
And then we'll work our way to Germany. Peter Schilling and Major Tom. It's a great song.
Great song.
Error in the System. I can't say that I like the rest of the album, but I do like Major Tom. Pretty cool song.
That's a great song.
And then I've got 2 more. This next one is more sentimental. My dad used to play this when I was a kid, but before my dad passed away, he had mentioned that he used to play this to me when I was a kid, and I just couldn't remember it for the life of me. And then after my dad died, I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to this song and see what he was talking about. And sure enough, I remember it. and it's Charlie Pride's Burger and Fries song,
Yep.
which is on this album. And if you've ever seen the movie Breakdown with Kurt Russell, there's a scene where he goes into this restaurant, cafe, bar, and the bartender's giving him a really hard time, but on the jukebox in the background is actually Burgers and Fries. So it's kind of a neat story there. And then my last pick, probably the most obscure out of all of them, I think this is from 1989. Yeah, 88, 89. It's this duo called Waterfront. I'm not sure if they were British or they're American. They did this song called Cry. I don't know, just a really mellow, slow, chill song. But it's that typical, I wouldn't call it like New Kids on the Block stuff or anything like that, but just a mellow duo. They didn't become known for anything other than that one song. And yeah, those are my picks for the night.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely haven't heard of those guys. Okay, cool.
Joe.
That Waterfront one rings a bell. I'm not sure why. I'm going to have to go and search that one out. Okay. If you haven't listened to this one-hit wonder recently, listen to it again, and you'll get a different perspective maybe on the song, because Josie is not necessarily the girl that he's with. I'll leave it at that. It's a good album.
She's on a vacation. She's on a vacation far away somewhere.
Far away. Yeah.
You got to listen to the lyrics again. But it's a good album. It's okay. This is an early 70s. This falls under 70s gold. And again, this is kind of two-hit wonder, and they were both on here. But I think they were both on here. Hold on. Please hold. Oh, yeah, they're both on here. So Paper Lace and The Night Chicago Died. Again, a one-hit wonder I love to hear every time I hear it. Never get sick of it. Love it. Remember when I was 12 years old and it would come on the radio and I was super excited. I still get super excited to hear it. And then the other one is Billy Don't Be a Hero, also on here. So some good 70s cheesy gold, which I love. Jensen Interceptor from Edmonton, Alberta. The song was, and I should remember this, but Tiny Thing was the song. So
bring that album up. Let's get a good look at that.
Yeah, I think if they're not twins, I don't think. I think they're not twins, but they look very twin-like. And then there's the dudes on the back who have longer hair than the girls on the front. But anyway, out of Edmonton, Alberta, one-hit wonder. But YouTube the song Tiny Thing, and I think maybe you'll remember it. Maybe. Again, that might have been like a Western Canada only kind of a hit thing. This, I think, might fall into that category as well. And these are guys out of Winnipeg called the Pumps, which then became Orphan later on. But the song Success, Coffee with the Queen was also on here. But the big song was Success. And again, it might have fallen into that category of it was big in Western Canada, but nowhere else. But search that one out for you guys and for anybody watching. The song's called Success. They were the Pumps at this time. They turned into Orphan, and they had one hit. So they just kept changing the band name, and they kept having a hit. And then this is a guy that is super, super talented, either with his band or without. Kind of a two-hit wonder, and it's Oingo Boingo and Dead Man's Party. Also Weird Science as well. But then Danny Elfman in everything that he's done with Tim Burton, without Tim Burton. He is arguably, I think, the John Williams of our generation for sure. Just the amount of scores that he's done and all good stuff. And he was a reluctant scorer as well. Burton kind of had to talk him into it, and he did. I don't know if it was the first Batman or what it was, but reluctant to do it. But with Halloween, this one gets played a lot, Dead Man's Party, but it's also a pretty good punky, power poppy, punky more than anything, new wave album, not new age album, because that's completely different. But there is one to check out as well. Oingo Boingo, they've got a couple, but that's a good one. Dead Man's Party, and then Weird Science, Just Make Them Bigger. Go. I love that movie. That's a good movie.
Okay. I think I got 4 here. 4? 5. So, a 90s album that I bought for one song, I'm going to sneeze.
Are you allergic? Are you allergic to pollen?
He's allergic to blind melons.
Yeah. Blind Melon. You got it. Obviously for the song No Rain. I guess are they a one-hit wonder? It's the only Blind Melon song I can think of.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I think they did a song called Soup, maybe. I think that's the other one.
Maybe.
That was the album. Yeah, I didn't know if there was a song.
I mean, I remember seeing we all remember the girl in the bee suit in the video, which is not the same girl that's on the front cover, by the way.
Right.
Trivia for you. I remember that video all over Much Music back in the 90s. And it wasn't until there used to be a show called The OC, which I was watching one day with the wife, and there was a scene where the main character sort of reenacts the upside down Spider-Man in the rain kiss, and they were playing the song No Rain. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that song because I hadn't heard it in years. I'm like, next time I see that on vinyl, I'm buying it. So this is the music on vinyl pressing that is it's on this cool like honey colored vinyl. So there's that one. Bought it for a single song. Also bought this record for a single song, and it's now a band that I own a lot of their records, and that's the Goo Goo Dolls' Dizzy Up the Girl. This is an OG pressing. It was a grail for me for a very long time. I didn't buy this for the song you'd think that I bought this for. I bought this for the song Broadway. I just love that song in the 90s. Broadway is Dark Tonight. And that I wasn't really aware of the other hits. They have had a ton of hits. I mean, on this album alone, Slide was a hit, and their biggest hit, Iris. But I didn't connect the dots that they were on this. I'm just like, I got to buy Dizzy Up the Girl because I want I want the song Broadway. And then went, holy shit. Oh, yeah, also Black Balloon was another big hit. And so I have several Goo Goo Dolls records, and they had probably a dozen hits, but at the time I wanted this I bought it on CD back in the day just because I wanted Broadway, and then finally got an OG on vinyl. And I'll show this one, another, I think I would call these guys maybe a one or a two-hit wonder. I got a cover of the Bare Bums on the back, but Soul Asylum, Grave Dancers Union. The big hit off of here was Runaway Train. And again, I think they had another song called Misery off their other big album. But so I guess they're kind of two hits, I guess. I can't think of any others.
I think off that album, I think Somebody to Shove, I think, was a big one, and Black Gold, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I got this simply just for Runaway Train.
Yeah.
And this is
a great album, though.
It is.
Yeah.
This is the music on vinyl pressing. I got it for free because I won Concert Buddies contest. So I got it from Vinyl Me Please as part of my gift membership. So this one's actually a 2 LP, and it's got a whole disc of live and unreleased stuff in addition to the album. So that's kind of cool. And lastly, a band I talk about all the time. I think most people would consider them a one-hit wonder, but they're a band that I fucking love, and that's The Darkness. I mean, everyone knows them for I Believe in a Thing Called Love, but they also had, I think they also had a hit with Love Is Only a Feeling. Those were the two big hits off of here. And they had a hit on their follow-up album as well, One Way Ticket to Hell and Back. But most people know them just for the one big hit. But this is one of my favorite albums of all time. I have just about everything that these guys ever put out, except for One Way Ticket to Hell and Back, because I can't afford it. So, and they got a new album coming out in January, so I've pre-ordered it, and it's autographed, so I'm pretty excited.
Oh, cool.
Here we go.
Justin Hawkins rides again.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite YouTube channels,
Yeah, for sure.
other than On the Vinyl and Music Talk with John and Northern Vinyl Guy.
Yeah. You know, I noticed real quick. I think you were pulling sleeves off of a lot of those, weren't you?
I
don't know
was,
where
yeah.
Is there a place you get those from? Those sleeves?
Well,
that
you know,
you're
there's
pulling?
lots of places you can get
Absolutely not.
sleeves. But, you know, you really should check out vinylstoragesolutions.ca.
Oh, right.
They've got some great, like, sleeves for gatefold albums. They got great quality inner sleeves. They're fantastic. And if you want to do that, you know, use the promo code Northern10 to save yourself 10%.
What?
Like, Joe, what would I do without you, man?
Never heard of
It
that.
took me a while. I kind of forgot till the end. I should have done it earlier, but that's okay. That's
I always forget. When I do my regular videos, I just have a graphic that's that pops up on the screen twice throughout my video, and leave it at that. So.
Yeah, I think what we take away from tonight is there was a lot of bands that got it right once. There was a lot of bands that got it right, played once on the air, but did a bunch of great stuff beyond that. Like those Soul Asylum albums, both of those are fantastic. But you hear the one song that gets played or whatever. If that's what constitutes a one-hit wonder, I guess. I don't know. I think maybe that's the definer. Does the one song get played on the radio and that's it? And is that the definer? I guess maybe it is, but
I think it's interesting too that there's two types of one hits. There's the one hit where you just listen to the record for that one hit. And I'll use the example that I had earlier, Natalie Imbruglia's Torn. I could really do without the rest of the record. I wish it was better. It's fine.
Sure.
It's fine. It's not bad. It's fine. I only listen to it for Torn. And then there are other one-hit wonders that I love that one hit. And as a result of loving that one hit, I love the entire album, even though none of them are hits. So I think, it's interesting kind of dichotomy there.
That's what we kind of did in the 80s, right? Because we didn't have streaming. We didn't have anything. We hoped. And I think that's where I got like a bad taste in my mouth after a while. You got an album because it had this great song on it. You bought the album. The rest was crap. You're like, oh, my God. And it happened over and over again. I'm like, that's when I started hitting up pawn shops to see if I can get a CD for $2 or something. So I'm not spending $18 on a CD that's crap, Yep. So you're looking for that. Yeah, let this lead me to a great album, And when that happens, you're like, oh, this is awesome,
Yep. Agreed.
Oh, filler, no filler.
Exactly.
A couple comments here. Richard says he picked up Aldo Nova's debut because of Fantasy. Sadly, the rest of the album didn't rock your world.
Didn't rock my world, yeah.
And Jack, hey Jack, how you doing, man? For me, if I don't like the album on the hits, I just put the song on a playlist. Or if I really love the song, I buy the 45. Yep, that's a smart way to do it.
Yep.
I don't do 45 because it's a whole other rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's work. That's almost work.
Yep.
We were lucky, those of us of the age. We had K-Tel. So K-Tel was good for that because the one-hit wonder was always on the K-Tel album. Yep. So there was that. But they're just not around
anymore. Condensed, but it was on there.
Yeah, not all of it was on there, but it was on there.
Right.
Right.
The best parts of it were on there.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we've well past that 2-hour mark. So as we always do, we'll go around the horn and you can just let folks know if there's something you just did you want folks to know about, or if you got something coming up. John, what's new in Music Talk with John land?
Well, I've got a couple ideas in play. I want to do the kind of help out Alex or, with that favorite year in music. So I was I saw yours on Sunday. That was good. So I'm trying to come up with that favorite year.
It's tough.
Yeah. But you had some good suggestions of the concept behind it. Did a bunch of albums come out that year, or was it just a year of just really good music that you remember kind of thing? So I'm going to work on that one.
What I love about that contest, and I'm selective about the contests that I do, just because, I want to do it if it's somebody that, a friend that I want to support or whatever, which Alex absolutely is.
Right.
But I like a contest that you got to put some thought into, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't want to be like, someone says, show 4 records that have a dog on the cover.
Yeah.
I'm not spending my time on that. Like, that doesn't have anything to do with, why was 2012 a great year for music? So I loved Alex's contest. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I love hearing the stories about why people think a year is a good year. I love hearing that stuff, the connection with music more than I care about hearing about the music itself.
Yeah, it's one that made you didn't think you were going to have to think about it, but you had to think about it.
Absolutely.
So, I'm going to do that. And I've got a couple where I have a copy of Billy Joel's Nylon Curtain that's never been opened. So I might do a video on that experience of cracking that baby open and
grip it and rip it, man.
Yep. So I'm going to probably do that. And then another interesting one, if you know my history, I've done the Muddy Waters folk singer, I think it was a UHQR or MoFi box. And this will be my third one that I would be opening because the other 2 had seam splits and warped records.
Oh, shit.
So this is the third copy. and we're going to see what happens. So I've got some, you know, and then I kind of like the good and bad album covers that I think Larry did it recently. So that's kind of on the back burner. So I have some ideas coming up.
Cool. Daryl, what about you? What's going on?
So yeah, this past week I put out a few weeks ago I had done my Bruce Hornsby reviews of his 3 albums in the range. If you haven't checked it out, I ranked my top 12 songs by Bruce Hornsby in the range, but I also included some of his solo stuff. So seems to be some comments in the section, people that are interested in hearing some of his other stuff that they may not recognize other than his big hits, you know, The Way It Is and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of cool to get some positive feedback in the section there. And I think I'm gonna finally get around to that 10 strange words or 10 unusual words video that you might hear in a song.
What's that one we talked about earlier?
Correction.
Yeah.
What is that one? 10 unusual.
So I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna finally try to get that done for Saturday. That's my goal. Because I went through all the words, like I found 10 words, and it's gonna almost like be like English class almost, but I'm gonna kind of go over these 10 words. And yes, Pompatus will be on this
Pompatus.
episode.
The totally made up word.
Yeah.
I've got an
So I'm
album where someone uses the word lysergic dithylamide, if you'd like.
Jeez.
Wow.
You would think Sting would
which is LSD.
So I'm gonna try to get that out for Saturday. That's my goal, because I've got all the pre-work done. I just gotta record it now.
Cool. That sounds cool.
Cool.
I don't have an album that has lyrics with LSD on it, but I took LSD once. Does that count?
Yeah. We could do a whole episode talking about those experiences.
Yeah, it was just once, but
Between Joe's drug stories and my strip club stories.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
It'd be
That'd be
like
an
an after
interesting
dark episode.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need Alex to come back and do his after hours after dark one. So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I
Joe,
have
you're just
been
doing stuff for the store mainly.
Yeah, just doing stuff for the store still. Yeah. So who knows? I mean, I don't know why I stopped doing my own stuff. I mean, I have my reasons. They're not great reasons, but yeah, doing stuff for the store, doing my 12 things that shouldn't be in the store. Plus, I do a few other things, and I'll do a couple of live things and some shorts, because that's just you know, it's not just to it's to get you know, it's to get out there and talk a little bit about the music, and obviously to promote the store a little bit as well. So some of that, and then a week from tonight at this point, I should almost be here in Thunder Road. I think Thunder Road's going to be right about 9:30 in the set. Going to go see Bruce Springsteen next Wednesday evening in Winnipeg. I know you guys are tired of me talking about it, but I said to Joanne last night, I was sitting there and I was watching a little bit of the Howard Stern stuff. I didn't want to watch too
so
much.
good.
And I haven't watched the documentary yet, because it's about being on the road, and I don't like to look at set lists before going to the show and that. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching that later, but I haven't yet. But I was just sitting there, and Max is back there on the drums, and you know, Bruce and Patty are sitting there, and it's just, I can't believe I'm actually going to go and see this guy next week.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it sounds ridiculous to you guys, and I don't think it sounds ridiculous to the people in the chat, but I can't properly put into words how much I am looking forward to this concert. And I have looked forward to a lot of concerts. You two last year at the Sphere, you know, I've looked forward to a lot of different shows, but this one it's different. It just hits different. And then I'm going to go see him again the week after, and I know it's going to be different. It's going to be the same, but it's going to be different. And I'm worried. I'm a little bit worried I'm going to turn into a guy that just follows Bruce Springsteen around and goes to everything. Once I get that first one in, I might just be that guy. But
you better sell a shit ton more records at the store then.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that a little bit. Either that or become a roadie. I don't know. Maybe they need an old bald dude to be a roadie. But yeah, so I know, like I said, I know I've talked a lot about it, but I am just deeply, deeply looking so much forward to seeing that show next week. So
I'm excited for you, Joe, because I'm jealous. I wish I could be there, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, so that's
I can't wait to hear all about it.
That's my next little while, anyway. Is that stuff? So,
which is a great segue next Wednesday, we might not be here next Wednesday. I'll let you guys know because Joe's at his concert. My boss is going to be in town. He's flying up from North Carolina, so I may have to entertain him Wednesday evening. Daryl, I'll let you know as we get a little closer to the day. If I can get out of my boss obligations, then we'll be here. But if I can't, we'll just we'll take a pass on next week. So we'll let you guys know.
For sure.
As for me, what's going on, as John mentioned, I did my contest entry for Alex over at Beer and Vinyl. Favorite year in music, I picked 2012, which may seem like an odd choice, but if you watch the video, I think I have some sound reasons why. I could have picked a number of other years, but that was the one I chose. That was a fun video to make. What's coming up? I don't know. I haven't decided what next week's video is going to be. But Joe and I've got a few things cooking, which we should sit down and record them one of these days. Maybe, after your listen here, JWG Moore. For being
Yeah.
God damn it.
I'm,
Love, what am I going to say?
I'm,
I'll talk about Taylor Swift if you want.
I'm like distracted, but I'm looking. This lady on the local shop is going through a bunch of Beatles albums that she just got, and there is a Butcher cover she just pulled out of there.
It's probably a reproduction.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Yeah, could be.
There's so many reproductions out there. There's no way that's legit.
Yeah, she got a bunch of Beatles and Elvis in there. So
Yeah.
Tell her to stop throwing the frickin' records around.
yeah,
Yeah.
just in case I'll give her a call tomorrow. Just in
There
case.
you go.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of puts a wrap on it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We appreciate you spending your evening with us, and it's been fun. John, thank you for being our guest. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Yep. Thank you.
Daryl,
Stay
Joe, thanks, guys. I really enjoy doing this with you guys every week, so thank you very much.
As well. Yeah. Stay safe down there, John.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
You
guys.
did.
Sure.
Guys and gals and everyone watching, thank you very much. Have a good night. And we might be back next week. Keep an eye out on my community page. I'll post an announcement. Either way, if we are away next week, we will return the following Wednesday. So that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Have a good
everybody.
Take
Bye.
it easy.
Bye.